And it creates this expectation where now if you're a guy, you have to be, if you don't have six-pack abs and you don't have, sub 6% body fat and enough muscle to look good on my Instagram posts, one, your girlfriend's not even going to post you on her social media. You don't exist. Mm-hmm. Two, if you don't have that, if you're not that physical standard, well, then you better have a ton of resources to give her, because she demands, the boob job and the injections and all the cosmetic treatments, and then she expects it.
Welcome to WAKURADIO. I'm your co-host, Sebastian. To my left is the host, Kobe.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to WAKURADIO. And in today's episode, we have something that's a little bit different from everything that we've been talking about, but it's definitely a must to hear.
I'm going to introduce you guys to my friend, Reed. He's one of the buffest guys I know, but also one of the sweetest guys I know.
Yay! What's going on, brother?
Not terribly, not too much.
Yeah.
So tell the guests, the viewers, a little bit about yourself and your Waku moment.
Okay. Oh, yeah, my Waku moment. It's pretty decent, I think. Let's see. Well, I just turned 33 like a week ago.
Yeah, happy belated.
I'm almost grown up now. It's actually kind of cool. Get this. So I don't know if you're into like the numerology thing or numbers and stuff like that. But
we actually talked about in our last podcast a little bit about
really?
Everything.
Yeah. So my birthday is 8989.
Uh-huh.
And my favorite number is actually 17. I never really thought about it. Well, my favorite numbers are 8 and 9 because of my birthday, obviously.
Right.
But then 17 is like one of my favorite numbers to see. So 8 plus 9 is 17. So my birthday is also technically kind of like 1717.
Oh, shit.
Kind of cool. And then I turned 33. So that was...
Yeah.
Wow, yeah.
Had a ball with numbers that day.
Oh, that's a pretty cool little number combination right there.
Decent one.
That's wild.
So, all right, let's see. So originally I'm from North Carolina. Grew up out on the East Coast, about 30 minutes from the Outer Banks. Moved out to Utah when I was a younger kid. St. George, actually. Then we moved to a small town, Hurricane, whatnot. Grew up Mormon. Actually served a mission. Was gone for 2 years. Went down to Santiago, Chile, which is where I had my Waku moment. Let's see. Studied biochemistry at Utah State University. Honestly, I was there for like 6 years. So I did biochemistry. I did a lot of courses in like molecular biology, nutrition, kinesiology, and like infectious diseases, stuff like that. So I'm a little bit of a nerd. Got into lifting with my dad when I was 11, actually, or working out when I was 11. I was a fat little kid. So they were like, well, you need to lose weight. So just go to the gym after school, because my school was right next to the gym they worked out at. So I'd get out of school and go over there and just like ride a bike or try and do something, whatever. Didn't have much effect, but got into my head. So as I progressed through my teen years, I got more into lifting. Never competed in anything like on a stage. I've competed in powerlifting a bit, smaller stuff back when I was in college. Ended up breaking my back.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Fractured my L5, compression fracture. So not like I sent my spine out of my ass or something.
Right.
But did it when I was doing bent over barbell rows, which totally changed my direction of fitness. Because then, I ended up getting up to a little over 300 pounds, pretty out of shape. Then, basically turned everything around. Got into just trying to lose weight, get healthy, get feeling better, which set me off on the endeavors of starting out a supplement line, learning how to design, formulate supplements, getting kind of some more into training, considering taking clients again too sometime. We'll see. It could be fun. More of I actually got a lot of stuff I could go on forever.
That's a lot. Yeah, that's crazy.
I'm better with questions or else.
Right. So how did you end up breaking your back?
Bent over barbell rows.
So you're just doing rows and...
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Jeez.
It was about, I think it was 385 on the bar. Oh, wow. I did 10 sets. I was about 300 pounds at the time, so that wasn't too crazy.
Right.
And I got 10 reps, and I was like, I can do 2 more. So technique went to shit, and I felt my back pop, and I just dropped.
Oof.
Oh, shit.
And now I could move around. It's not like they had to take me out on a stretch or anything, but man, that pain was unbelievable. Like, it hurt within maybe a minute of it, which normally when you have something happen, like what I'm used to is you'll feel the pain, you'll feel the twinge or whatever, and then the next day it hurts. Dude, this was rough. I had to have Megan had to like tie my shoes for me. Using the bathroom was an hour-long endeavor. It took about 18 months before I could really get back up to functioning, which is honestly a huge blessing. I mean, most people never heal from stuff like that.
Yeah,
Luckily, it didn't damage the actual spinal cord, just the bone. Yeah, that was a mess.
Was it just due to like bad form and stuff like that?
Oh, hell yeah. Form went to crap, man.
Yeah.
That last one I tried to cheat that rep out, terrible idea.
Oh, shit.
Don't cheat heavyweight when you're bent over. It's already got you bent over. It's only going to take the next step.
It's so true. Because, I powerlift a little bit too.
Yeah,
so,
you beat my ass out on the platform now, bro. I got nothing. What are you, like 190?
Actually, I dropped the weight. I'm 180 right now.
I got 60 pounds on you, and you got like 300 pounds on me for everything.
It's just genetics, bro. I swear, it's my body length and everything so it makes it work. But yeah, it's true. If when days I don't have that good form, I'm like, I'm not gonna even push this.
Right.
I was dragging ass, and it's not even where my max is supposed to be at. So I'm not even gonna try it anymore because I'm just gonna get.
Oh yeah. When you think you're like, 225, I got this. You pick it up, you're like, that feels heavy today.
Yeah. You're like, fuck that.
Yeah.
But so what's your Waku moment that you had?
So in back in 2010, I was down in Chile, in Santiago, Chile. I lived in the 14th story of a 17-story building. Ooh. I got up at like 3 in the morning, 3:30 in the morning roughly, went to use the bathroom. It's exactly how it happened. Got up, go to the bathroom, it's dark, flush the toilet, I walk out. Right after I flush the toilet, I feel the house doing this, kind of this circular motion.
Yeah.
I was like, what in the world? Never been in an earthquake. And so my companion at the time, because I was a missionary, my companion looks at me and goes, ooh, that's an earthquake. And he was one of these guys, brilliant dude, nothing really excited him. He didn't get reactionary. So you can't tell the gravity of the situation by how he says it. He's just like, oh, that's an earthquake. Holy crap, dude. That earthquake, I want to say it went for almost 3 minutes. It was like this unbelievable thing. Like we had time, we were walking around the apartment. We couldn't get out.
Yeah.
We're walking around. The whole place is shaking. Got to a point where I couldn't stand. I had to stabilize myself. So I went and got into the only thing I could think of that could have seemed protective, which I'm in a big building. If it goes down, I'm screwed. So, and I got in the hallway where I could, in between the frame where I could kind of hold myself stable at least. It was bad. That building was going so much that as it was tipping forward and moving back out the window at the end of the hallway, I could see the pool.
Shit.
Just down at the building, just down below us. So there was so much flexing in that building. I totally accepted I was dead.
What was the magnitude of that?
8.8.
Oh,
God
shit.
damn.
That's a strong one.
That was at the time, it was the 5th largest recorded earthquake in history. Right after that, they had the big one in Japan.
Yeah,
and,
that's the tsunami one, right? Yeah.
That totally like overshadowed the crap out of us, I want to say.
You're like, dude, I know the feeling. Never mind.
Well, dude, that was wild. Afterwards, like we were totally, just in shock. The elevators had both fallen from upper floors. Yeah.
Could you imagine?
Imagine if you're in the elevator.
Right.
Oh my God.
And then we're running down the stairs, and he looks at me. He was a funny dude, but he would say it wasn't funny like intentionally. He would just say things that I'm like. So we're running down the stairs, and he's all calm. That's just how he was running down. He goes, "Man, do you imagine if these collapsed? Because you had on the top down there, you also had like some where it basically looked like this, like the reverse side of stairs." He's like, "Yeah, because it would just be like teeth and fit together." I'm just like, "Are you kidding?"
So the building would basically just eat you all up right there.
Dude, so when we got outside, everything was like there was a bunch of just chaos happening out in the streets. Over there, they had like elevated portions of highway and freeway. So I saw some pictures where some sections had literally just fallen.
Ooh.
Santiago didn't really get that much damage. Primarily, it was down in like Conception, other areas. I want to say, I can't remember how far we were, maybe a couple hours away from the epicenter. Dude, yeah, but that was the one moment of my life that I just accepted. I'm dead.
Right.
So all kinds of stuff go through my head, past, present, future, you name it.
So how does that make you feel now? Like now that you've survived it, do you feel like you're going to live life to the fullest and do whatever you can?
I wouldn't say that moment in itself is really what caused that in me. There were a lot of life changes that happened after that led to more of that motivation for the zest of life. But I could definitely say it changed my perspective on life. It made me recognize my mortality more so to a sense, because I was totally at the mercy of what. Well, I hope the engineers of the building did a good job. It's like none of my survival does not depend on me right now.
Yeah, it's kind of like that one story of what was it? The condo that happened in Florida, where it just came crashing down.
Yeah, it's wild.
And you would never think that was like something that would happen in America. I mean, you could see that happening in a third world country, what I mean? But in America, it's like, wow.
Right.
That must be such a wild thing to think about. Like, you really just there, and there's nothing you can do to change the situation. So you're just literally just going off faith, I guess, in a way.
In a sense,
Yeah.
I mean, in my situation,
Right?
I hadn't seen family or friends in about 2 years. And so, like, you're really removed from life to an extent when you're out there, and you're really, as out in the world as you are, you're actually very isolated. And so, like, you think about normal things that you think of here, like your day-to-day life that you have, maybe bills, maybe responsibilities. None of that existed. It was totally different. You had one purpose out there, which was just to teach and convert people.
And this was during your missions that you're talking about, right? Mormon, correct?
Yeah.
Correct. And are you...
LDS is what they were.
Are you still, like, in the belief of that system or something? No? Was it because of your missions and things that you experienced that caused you not to believe it anymore?
To a degree. As I was teaching in my mission, I was actually really successful out there. By statistical measurements. And honestly, like I learned a lot of great things. I would never go back and a lot of people go, do you regret it? No, not at all.
Right.
Wouldn't do it again, but I'm really glad I did it. I benefited a lot from that as far as a person. I learned a lot to open my eyes up, and I feel like I was able to help a lot of people. I tried to do a lot of service. I did, good things.
A lot of experience.
However, it's a sales pitch.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, back then, if you're familiar with like LDS Church, they have tithing, which is a 10% tithe, so 10% of all
Your income.
all your increase.
Yeah, that's right.
Of all your increase.
Right.
And so they save that for last. They get people basically believing, they get people, and that's how it was back then. I think now maybe they've changed it. I'm not sure.
No, it's still the same, I believe. Yeah.
Is it? And so, yeah. And so, but it was, you'd get people going, you get the feels going. They're like, okay, this is a good thing. I'm converting. Like, okay, now here's the cost. Here's the monetary cost, which obviously any organization is going to need money.
Yeah, they'll never give that up.
But if the organization is really just about putting that money back into spreading their faith and helping more people out, then they're not going to have slush funds in the hundreds of billions of dollars.
Yeah.
Which got exposed a couple years ago, and primary investment, or a lot of investments being in, things that I would say probably don't represent the values that they tell people they have. So there's just a handful of things that made me go, what am I actually a part of? Do I really believe what this is?
Right.
And does the organization itself make me feel like it really represents what it tells me it is? And I didn't feel that way.
Right. It's always like a hypocritical feeling, or
Well, I feel, and this is all personal opinion here, but I feel that a lot of Christianity has been weaponized to a sense. I feel that you go through most religions and you'll find there's always a shame factor. There's always a way of making you feel incapable of reaching your highest state of goodness, so to say, on your own.
I feel like that is a very common thing with the Catholic religion. It's almost like they don't want you to improve at all. And they say that, they basically make you into a victim.
Right.
And I think Christianity is like the opposite of that, because you can basically say, oh, you know what? I can repent for anything that I've done, even though I've been an asshole all my life. I can repent and I can still go to heaven.
I feel that true Christianity can be very empowering, not in the sense of like gives you individual power so much, but more, let's say, pardon me, let's say it's all true. Let's say it's all solid, all 100%. Then that would mean that Christ would have been, he'd have to be perfect so that his sacrifice would atone for the sins of the imperfect so that we could repent. He made that possible based on that gospel. And how's a good way to explain this? Okay. I feel that if religions viewed that and actually functioned or taught or treated their members the way that they teach that the atonement was actually supposed to happen, and for the purpose, if they follow through with that belief system, so to say, then I feel like there'd be a very different dynamic. I feel like there's so much in religions used to shame you into feeling incapable of becoming good enough to be loved or worthy of God.
It's almost like they're trying to keep you down or control you.
And the only way you can reach that level of spiritual enlightenment or greatness or goodness is to be a part of us, which means you've got to pay us money, do what we say, live under our specific types of rules.
Right.
And to a degree, I'm like, I don't feel that that's, we talk about free agency. Is it really free agency if, yeah, you can do it, but we're going to reject you. We're going to tell you you're not going to have your family. We're going to totally, it's very heavily pressured to act a certain way. Therefore, is it really due to the goodness of my own heart that I'm acting a certain way, or is it because I'm afraid of losing my family, my friends, my livelihood, my life, my credibility? It's unhealthy in my point. There's a lot there.
Right. So I know with the Mormon religion, it takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah.
To actually live that, because they say that most people who join the FBI are majority Mormons.
Really?
And it's probably because they've probably lived such a disciplined life because of the religion. Like, you can't have caffeine, you can't do all this. So it's just one of those rules where it's like, all right, this person has applied so much discipline that for them to make it into the FBI, it's an easy factor, because hey, they fit all of these criteria because they never did any of these things. No chemical enhancing drugs or anything like that, even caffeine, right? So
so the caffeine's an interesting one. Yeah. So that's the one everybody thinks of, caffeine and tea and coffee and all that. And when you actually go into the word of wisdom in the Doctrine and Covenants, which is the part of the gospel where it kind of lays out that rule, it doesn't mention caffeine. It says hot drinks.
Really? Hot drinks?
That's it.
So you can't drink warm drinks or hot drinks?
But that has been basically translated to mean coffee and tea.
Is that because that's what they did back in the day anyways?
Yeah.
Which is coffee and tea,
Coffee
so
and
hot
tea.
drinks. Okay.
And then, and now don't get me wrong. There's plenty. I've seen plenty of stuff talking about the negative effects of drinking stuff that's too hot. You know,
Right.
it's negative for your cells on the way down, everything like that.
Right.
But and then from that, members are basically derived that you can't consume caffeine, which is totally unrelated to it. And so you find a lot of people that will make up their own rules to amplify their own worthiness or their own obedience.
Well, hasn't it been switched around so many times though?
I'm not sure. I don't believe that the word of wisdom aspect has been switched around that much, but there's always got doctrinal changes.
Right.
I mean, you look back at how originally they wouldn't allow black people to have the authority, their priesthood authority.
Right.
And then that changed with enough political pressure.
Gotcha.
You know, you look at, I mean, for example, the religion, this one was actually one of I heard from a couple of people when it came to the old, you know, a couple years ago, the treatment, let's say.
Right.
They were telling people to go to your doctor and talk about getting your treatment. And if I'm being advised by a religion in medical practice or in something I should do or a medical treatment, wouldn't that religion tell you to pray about it before? Like, shouldn't they say, hey, talk to God and then go? If we're advising you from a religious perspective or a spiritual perspective, then pray with God, make your best decision based on enlightenment there, and then go to your doctor. Not just skip, you know, the God part and go straight to your doctor.
Right.
By the way, I think they're pretty heavily invested in those companies. So I'm like, a little bit of conflict of interest. I could be wrong there, but
Of course,
I believe I remember seeing that in their investment portfolio.
Right. At the end of the day, I think, you know, most of religion is a business anyways.
They're a 501(c)(3) corporation, I believe. I believe that's what it is. And even the prophet of the Mormon church is listed as the president of the corporation.
So,
to my knowledge.
Wow. So I grew up with a lot of Mormon friends, neighbors. My neighbors are Mormon. My cousin's Mormon.
And just clarifying, that's to my, but I'm pretty, that's what I understand. I could be mistaken there.
Gotcha. So because of that factor, I've seen a lot of friends, family, and everybody basically switch over to the Jack Mormon side where they just don't care about the religion anymore.
Right.
And you being one of those people as well, right?
Well, so I feel like Jack Mormon is more somebody that lives their life or makes decisions almost in spite of the religion.
Like in a rebellious sense?
In a rebellious sense. And so I wouldn't consider myself part of that. I would just say I spent 20 something years in the religion, and I felt like it was long enough for me to realize that this is not fulfilling to my life.
Gotcha.
And I felt like it was creating more negativity, more instability, and more, emotional trauma than anything.
Right.
I did not feel that I was growing because of my associations there. I felt like it was definitely a keep you down, keep you back type of thing.
Gotcha. So because of that factor, right, that you feel that way, and so many other people do. Some people do rebel against it because they can't really just choose, hey, I don't want to be Mormon anymore. They have to kind of follow it because of family or whatever, right? So what do you think is like the biggest reason why people are just like, I just don't want to deal with this religion anymore? Is it the fact that maybe it's too much control?
I think it comes down to partially rejection, and then if you make a mistake, you can kind of get cast out very easily.
Rejection as in like they're judging you?
Okay, for example, let's say you had a guy that went on his mission and he wasn't deemed worthy, so to say. Like maybe he and his girlfriend had been having sex and he wasn't supposed to go. He could get sent home or he could be stopped before he goes and they could be like, hey, you can't go. Well, that's a big, giant mark of shame on him and his family. So I've seen several times where families will distance themselves from their child because they don't want to experience the pressure, the social implications of negativity from their religious ward, the group who they meet with every Sunday.
So in simpler terms, it would be like rejection or judgment from other.
Judgment. And it's you did this thing that organization said is bad. So in turn, your family is going to reject you. Your friends are going to reject you. Not because they really reject you, but because they don't want people in the organization or the rest of society to think that they support you.
I see.
So it's almost worse in the sense of, look, I love you. You're my son, but I can't have them thinking that I back up these choices that, in essence, are relatively inconsequential.
Right.
You know, I mean, I'll say that, and I probably have a ton of LDS people go, what do you mean inconsequential?
Right.
I mean inconsequential because, let's get real, people have sex every day.
Every day.
Sometimes it ends up in a negative situation, but it can also just be, yeah, we had a quickie, went on about it, then I forgot about it 3 days later. Like,
well, it's not even just sex though; it's even masturbation, right?
Masturbation's bad. Looking at porn is bad. Really, anything.
Even gay thoughts. Because I have a friend who.
Okay, well, don't act on them.
Right.
That's what they say is don't act on it.
Oh, is that what it say?
You can be gay, just don't act on it.
Really, they accept the gays? Because I thought they.
It sounds more like a don't ask, don't tell kind of a thing to me.
Oh, okay.
But they don't accept the gays. Once you've come out, like, and once you're gay, if you've acted on it, like.
Yeah, because I have a buddy who basically started getting curious and he started acting on it. right? And then he started doing drugs, alcohol, because he just felt like he's been judged his whole life, and he
That's
couldn't.
exactly what happens. Is they make one big mistake and they go, screw it.
Yeah,
And then next thing you know, they go
full throttle.
full throttle.
Yeah.
And these are people that come from a very sheltered life.
Right.
And there's a level of I think, I don't want to say, I don't know if street smarts is the word, but just kind of withiness, where in I don't know, just kind of understanding how the world really works outside of this very small sheltered paradigm that you're grown in. I mean, or that you're raised in. And you're brought up in this subculture,
Right.
but you're so isolated in that subculture. I mean, as a kid, I couldn't go out, I couldn't date a girl if she wasn't LDS. In high school, I had one girlfriend that I dated, and my family loved her, thought she was great. But as we started dating more, we dated for like the whole year, and then my family has the talk with me, like, well, she's not LDS. And I'm like, I know, I'm also going to be leaving for 2 years, and she's going to be going off to some academy somewhere in some other part of the country. But that got nipped in the butt real quick. And I'm like, then why would you even allow a year-long relationship to develop? Stuff like that. I mean, friends, if I had friends that weren't LDS, it was always kind of like, I'd be like, hey, I'm gonna go hang out with so-and-so. And if the idea that they weren't LDS came up, then it was, I don't think we're going to have you hanging out with those people. And so it puts you in a state to be very judgmental towards other people, to look down your nose at people, to... It's not good.
That is interesting, because I noticed that one of my really good friends grew up in Utah, and he was surrounded by Mormon, but wasn't Mormon. Grew up Christian.
Yeah.
But he said that every time he would hang out, because all the kids that lived in the neighborhood were all LDS.
Yeah.
But he said that every time he came over for dinner or lunch, whatever it was, they would always try to push him to convert.
Really?
Yeah, always. I mean,
Yeah,
they
that
even
happens.
Yeah, even on like certain holidays, they would give him like the Bible and like, hey, you should read this.
Yeah, they had their set of scriptures, the Book of Mormon.
Right.
Which, now I don't want to go into the whole explanation on that one. That's the where that comes from. It's basically an earlier testament of prophets throughout the Americas, and kind of how they would have come over from wherever they were previously,
Right.
Middle East or whatever, come across the ocean and establish the Americas, be it north, and south, and central. But so yeah, they have their own literature they read there, and it correlates pretty strongly with the Bible as well.
Yeah.
I feel like, the LDS Church, it does kind of push on every member to be a missionary and try and bring people into it, which is, I mean, okay, that's cool. I'm not going to sit on it and just slam it for everything. There's just specific things in the church that made me go, I don't know that I believe this, and I don't know that I believe this enough to play along with the game.
Right.
I'm not happy. Most of my friends that are involved in it are not happy.
Right. I've seen that too.
Most of the people I know that, the guys, they get pressured. Like before I came home, I was 21. Or no, I was 20. I was about to turn 21, and they sit me down before I came home from my mission. They wanted me to commit to being married inside of 6 months.
Wow.
I didn't even have a girlfriend.
Really? Really?
I've been out of the country for 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And I said no, and they were like all bent out of shape about it.
Yeah.
I was like, sorry, I'm not going to commit to that.
Right.
I kind of have like some things I'd like to do to build my life first. Then I look at my friends that did go through with it. No, most of them are pretty in struggle. Let's just put it that way.
Yeah. It seems like they want to keep you down so that they can continuously be in your life. Because I know
Or control. It's easy to control you when you're desperate.
Exactly. That's why religion does better in third world countries than it does in a first world country, like here. Right.
It's almost like they just work on fear.
Well, it is. It's fear. It's guilt. It's shame. And it's, they talk, all religions talk about God being this great big loving entity, this great big loving guy. And then they talk about how he just punishment. He doesn't have any patience for screwing up. And you don't get straight A's, you get straight 100s. And that's the only way to be good with God. Right.
Right.
And I'm like, all these, for example, in the LDS church, like let's say you sin, you break one of the commandments. In many cases, they have a period of punishment they put you through. One, you'll be socially shamed, socially shamed, because it becomes obvious when you go to sacrament, which is their form of mass. You can't partake. Everybody go, ooh, what'd you do? And they know basically. Yeah,
they shame you. Yeah.
There's only a couple of things it could be. Yeah. And so everybody knows.
And the whole community knows about it.
They do that right in front of everyone in the church?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I actually was disfellowshipped for a period back in 2011 because I'd had sex with a girlfriend. And when I spoke to my bishop was actually really cool. He was a great guy. He's a loving guy. Unfortunately, he got changed a couple of weeks into my whole process. They brought this new guy and it was the biggest douchebag. Dude, I'm in there talking to him and I'm like, look, man, I'm not in trouble. I didn't have anybody force me to come to you. I'm coming to you my own volition here. And he looks at me and goes, I just sense a lot of darkness in you. You just seem like a very proud individual. And I'm like, if I was a proud individual, I probably wouldn't be here telling you about how I wish I hadn't done this and I'd like to get my life together. And that dude, he restarted my whole process. And that process is essentially, it's not really a process. It's a period of time in which you are not given fellowship by members in the church, meaning nobody's going to help you. We're going to just bail on you. But The difference between excommunication and disfellowshipment is we still want your tithing money. So we don't want to get rid of you. We want the money.
Right. They're not going to get rid of their
But
income.
we're going to shame you. We're going to look down on you. We maybe are going to look down on your family.
Right. That's
They announced in my church, in my ward, that I could not be called on to give prayer, that I could not be called on to share lesson or scripture, which is something you're not supposed to do.
right.
Because it's supposed to be a very private thing. I actually had a bishop telling me about other guys in my ward by name that I grew up with. These are dudes I've known for 15 years.
Wow.
10, 15 years. That I grew up with since a kid though. And the exact sins that they had told him. Imagine going to confessional and the guy looks and goes, yeah, Jerry that you grew up with. Yeah, he was just here, told me.
That's crazy.
That's what happened.
I thought this was like a private thing, but it's not.
And I'm like, it was like pretty fucked up too. So I'm like, bro, don't tell me this stuff about this guy. I don't need to know. He came to you because he trusted you and he's trying to do what's right.
Right. I didn't even
And you
know.
just threw him under the bus to me.
Right.
Dickin'.
It's like, dude, I didn't even know that Sebastian stuck a finger in his ass.
Yeah, dude. Yeah.
I mean,
My little secret with my priest.
I mean, we could guess.
We could guess.
I swear to God, I just ran out of tithing. Is there anything else I can do?
Yo, man, that's the only thing that was around me that was quickest to grab. All right, that's all I can say.
But no, it's unfortunate because when you go to Utah, there's so many people up there with depression. There's so many unhappy people. Struggling, people that feel lonely, people that feel outcast. And there's so many good people that are just torn apart inside because this organization has made them feel, one, you're not good enough.
Right.
You're not good enough for God's love. You're not good enough for our love. You're not good enough for your family's love. You're not good enough for your friends.
Damn, that sounds so fucked up.
Well, I know I have a buddy who is starting to start these ayahuasca retreat centers.
Yeah.
Because there's so and they're targeting religious PTSD. So like if they've been touched as a child or they've been, scorned in church or temple.
Right.
And the other one's like, PTSD for military and, just rape victims and stuff like that. But when I heard that they were doing it for people who were Mormon at one time and just can't get over the fact that they can't be accepted in society anymore, that's when I was like, damn, that's crazy how a religion can actually make you feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
You're conditioned since since early childhood.
Right. And bringing that up makes me wonder, if you decide to have children, I don't know if you have kids now, but if you decide to have children in the future, is religion something that you would push on your kids, or how would you do it?
I like the system of values. I believe that you should have a system of values whether you're involved in a religion or not. Leaving a religion doesn't mean you change your values. Your values are your morals. That's who you are. That's what basically guides the decisions you make. If your system of values just comes from your religion, then you're missing the boat.
Right.
If you walk away from the religion and then you go out and you turn into a big piece of shit, you probably were a piece of shit to start out.
Right.
And I understand a lot of people, don't get me wrong. Somebody that goes, I'm out of the religion, they go out and they try sex and maybe they try some drugs and maybe they try this and this. And then they're like, I'm not it. Okay. They're done that. Let's go back.
Right.
You know what? I'm not going to judge that person in the slightest.
Right. But
if anything, I'm going to be like, you'd probably be able to lend a hand to somebody down the road when they do what you did.
Right.
They need some comfort or some help or some guidance.
But you'd get shamed by the church for it.
Oh, hardcore, dude. Hardcore. Yeah. I mean, I had to go into a meeting once and I think it was 17 dudes. And they wanted me to tell them, so I'd already told my bishop, and then I'd already told my stake president, which is the next level up from bishop. And then they wanted to have a meeting where I would go and basically confess to everybody. So I had, I think, 17 dudes from like all over southern Utah at the point in time where I was living there in this meeting. And they want me to tell them everything I did. So I did. And then they started asking me questions about the sex with my girlfriend. Like, that wasn't the only thing I told them about that I had done. That was sin. I'm like, here it is, dump it all out on the table. When I was 9 years old, I went through everything with them.
Right.
And the only thing they cared about was the sex with the girl. And they all knew her.
Wow.
They were all they were all local.
Right.
And so they started asking questions about it and wanting details about it. And I said, I got to the point where I said, I don't see how this helps me repent and get closer to God.
Were they more curious about like?
They were getting off on it.
Okay, gotcha.
They want to know who took off whose underwear first, if there was foreplay, if there was all this stuff.
But isn't that natural? It's a natural man
That's
thing.
part of it, ain't it?
But it is a natural man thing, though. It's something that as men we just gravitate to.
Oh yeah. But given the context of the conversation where I'm sitting here, and the idea is
right.
The perspective of the church in this is, hey, you're going to commit.
They don't care about the drugs; they just want to know about the sex. And
they're like, oh, I didn't have any drugs. There were no drug use.
Okay,
gotcha. But they wanted to. The idea of this, the whole point of that meeting was let me confess so that I could wipe the slate clean and then receive guidance.
Okay.
So that I could basically spiritually unite with God once again, is the idea of that, so that I could get to that level where I needed to be spiritually. Really, they just wanted to know the dirty details of the sex. And I had guys sitting around the table laughing, these old dudes. And at one point, I stopped, and when they started asking me more like detailed questions, and And I'm like, I stopped and I was like, I don't see how this helps me repent and get closer to God. I don't see how you visualizing the graphic details of my sex with my girlfriend, who you know, is going to help me get closer.
Right. Like
I'm missing the boat here.
right in the context.
And it totally changed the atmosphere in the room. They kind of got butthurt about it, to the extent that my own bishop actually took me out of the room and apologized for what was happening.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. So in the context, well, this is out of context, but growing up with a bunch of Mormon friends in like teenage years, they always try to find loopholes around having sex.
Always.
Dude, like soaking, the butt stuff. Is that real?
Oh, dude, I've heard it all. Heard it all. Yeah.
Wait, what's soaking?
You don't know what soaking is?
No.
Do you know what soaking is?
I know what it is. I'll let you explain. Not my world.
So soaking is basically like, instead of having like penetrative sex, they just kind of stick it in there and just
leave it.
Just leave it inside.
Let it marinate.
That's it. Instead of like doing a rocking motion, they just leave it.
Oh, so that was the loophole. Like you just stick it in there, you leave it, and it's technically not.
I'm just gonna say this right now. Every guy who said they did that is full of shit.
Really?
If you're telling me you did that and you didn't move, you're a liar.
Yeah, if they did,
100
that's a lot of control.
100% of soakers are full of shit.
I bet.
Because if you're telling me you got enough control, then given what your religion, you didn't do that to start with.
Yep.
If you got that kind of self-control.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
That is very true.
It doesn't matter if it's going in and out. That is intercourse.
So from what I'm thinking from this whole with the religion stuff, you don't believe in religion at all, but do you believe in like like God or higher power still?
I believe, I believe there's something going on. Yeah. There's something going on. I think whatever's going on is way out of our comprehension.
Yeah, 100%.
I think people have a need to understand things. I mean, I don't even believe the human brain can fully comprehend nothingness. I don't think it can comprehend its own non-existence.
Yes.
So we need to have an answer. We need to have an answer we can understand. And people want an answer that makes them feel somewhat comfortable, which I think is why God was given the male.
Right. We talked about
human
this
form.
Yeah.
And man, that's probably going to make all kinds of people pissed off. No, God made us in his form. Okay.
Right. I mean, they got to the point where they started saying, Jesus is black because black Jesus or whatever.
Well, I mean, given where he came from, he should have been.
Yeah. But at the same time, what you're saying, in the context of it, is that it's not even really a human being.
I don't even know that it's a human being.
Yeah.
I think, you go back into ancient cultures, look at ancient cultures throughout Asia, check out ancient Russia if you can even find, there's a lot of information released from the archives back in like 2013, the Russian archives.
Right.
But you look back at these, you'll find a lot of ancient civilizations we don't talk about. And they all have forms of religion or forms of theology, or whether it's monotheology, they're monotheistic or polytheistic, but they all have different forms. And almost everybody has a Jesus story.
Yeah.
It just is. Almost everybody has a Jesus story.
I mean, Egyptians used to believe in the pharaoh as a cat and all these other things, right? Like they used to have animals that they worshipped. So that was one thing. They had like their ancient.
Well, I mean, the story of Jesus, like what he was.
Oh,
that's
I see.
The sacrificial story of him.
Gotcha.
There's that story's. It's not unique to Christianity.
It's just a scripture that was just translated different.
Yeah, it's a belief system that's been just portrayed differently. Right. I mean, you look at Christianity, and it's like, which version of Christianity?
Yeah, that's true.
Really, Christianity is a root system.
Right.
And then you have a tree and the branches. And
LDS is one of those.
LDS is just one of the branches that comes off.
Yeah.
And
because it go to like pagan and all types of different things,
all kinds of stuff that predates Christianity.
Right. That's crazy.
Yeah, religion is a big subject. We actually talked a lot about in our last podcast about consciousness and the source and all that kind of stuff. So
energies.
It was definitely a.
That's more
hole.
like what I'm into.
Oh, okay.
Because it seems much more real to me.
Yeah.
Even though it's hard to explain, it does seem more real, right?
Yeah.
That's how I feel.
It's almost like your brain just has to go. Your brain almost, for me, just had to kind of catch on to things and go, wait, this makes sense. Whether we're talking about like manifesting things through mindset, honestly. Yeah. I started learning about that a couple of years ago. And anybody who's known me for multiple years would probably be able to look at me and go, wow, Reed's life and change in appearance and has become very different in the last 2 to 3 years. And it was about 2 to 3 years ago that I started learning about the idea or the concept of manifestations, learning about things like positive energies, what kind of energies work together. That changed my social setting a lot. A lot of people I got away from. And it was amazing when you cut out a lot of that negativity or that undesirable energy of people, how your life changes, how you feel about yourself.
The people that you attract.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Major,
it's a big one.
Big time.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I mean, that's where I believe in a certain system more like that. It's nothing organized by any means.
So going back to, You said that you were somewhat of a chubby kid growing up.
Oh yeah, I was a chunker, man.
Yeah. So I mean, and then you started studying in biochemistry.
Yes.
So what does that topic usually touch?
So we were more talking. Well, okay. So I got into a biochemistry major, but my courses were more along the lines of chemistry, organic chemistry, inorganic chemistry, biology, microbiology. I got into a few genetics courses. Had to do physics, but that was more unrelated than anything.
Right.
A lot of dealing with things like proteins they do in your body, hormones.
Gotcha.
I studied a handful of courses specifically just on hormones, endocrine system, endocrine function, but as relating to like how your body would process nutrients, how your body would you turn nutrients into hormones. And so that's why when I was in there, I switched my major around so many times, really because I just wanted to study different topics.
Right. Curious.
Yeah. And then after 6 years of going from all those topics and whatnot, it got to a point where I honestly just got tired of going to school.
Yeah.
I didn't want to do any more with it. My life kind of took over at that point, but let's see. I mean, yeah, that's about it.
Yeah. So I mean, like, so the reason why I brought that up is because right now it seems like every time I'm pulling up something about fitness or something, they're always talking about low T, how we're like the biggest generation of low T. You know what I mean? Like I think we were talking about it a little bit earlier, how, you know, your plastics are starting to, you know, ruin
Microplastics.
Right.
Like this damn thing I'm wearing right now is probably it's getting into my blood.
Yeah. So what do you think is like the biggest contributors to low T right now? Is it food? Is it just...
I think it's nutrition, personally.
Really?
I think it's nutrition as of 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago.
Just the way it was manufactured, like it's
things in your food, like soy,
okay,
for example.
But isn't most like TRT, like testosterone compounds, soy based or made from soy?
I remember seeing them made from yams. I believe now it's soy. I'm not totally sure on that. I've seen a handful of different things been done, but I remember it was yams or sweet potatoes or something like that originally years ago. But yeah, I think I heard recently more manufacturing companies started using soy products for soybeans for it.
Isn't soy technically bad?
I think so, but it's not like they're just taking soy and putting it in there. It's they're using it to produce the hormone, not so much.
Oh, I see.
So you're not like taking a pill of like soy extract or anything like that.
Oh, okay. Because I was thinking like we're injecting like, you know, soy stuff like that. So nutrition has a lot to do with like your hormones and how you regulate your hormones and all that stuff, correct?
Huge, massively.
Yeah.
I mean, especially as a kid. You know, I mean, if you're loading up a kid up with phytoestrogens or things that are going to reduce his ability to produce testosterone, or perhaps you're not giving him enough of the proper foods for his body to produce these hormones so he can grow and develop right, you're going to drastically affect his hormonal production in the end.
How would you...
And genetics are going to play a massive role into that as well. And then microplastics and what was the other thing you mentioned?
Seed oils.
Okay, so seed oils, I don't know any correlation there. I just know correlations with like seed oils and inflammation. But that's, once again, that's like a kind of a newer thing that I just started looking at.
Yeah.
Same with the microplastics.
Yeah, those things I started hearing a little bit more about just recently about those kind of things. But I mean, what are some things that you can do? Like, what are some good foods that you're able to eat that, you know, can help support, you know, our hormone system, for male or female?
Eggs and beef are great.
Eggs and beef? So why is there such a negativity towards beef right now going on? Like the media and everything.
I think it's because beef's probably one of the most optimal food sources out there. And my personal opinion is that the big push with either in the media, it's not for your health. It's to limit your lifespan. I mean, you see a big push right now to eat bugs. Have you noticed that?
Bugs?
Yeah.
Have you noticed it?
Yeah, it's been going on for a while.
It's been going on for a while, but they're amping it up.
Right.
I mean, in the end, they want us to eat weeds and bugs.
Well, what I've heard is that they're trying to get rid of...
That sounds crazy, but...
Yeah.
What I've heard is they're trying to get rid of the meat sources and go over to a different type of food source. Because they're saying that we can't sustain our food sources.
Bullshit. Such bullshit.
Like they're shooting so much fucking different drugs into these animals in order to get them huge. Like, how are we gonna run out of food source? Are we gonna run out of grass or some shit?
We're not. We're not. And also, I mean, here's another one. Just kind of correlating to running out of resources. You hear them talk about running out of land. I want to say over 80% of land in the U.S. is locked up under government land.
Yeah.
That means you got all the people in the United States, all this population density compressed into like 20% of land, something like that.
They're trying to push scarcity.
Yeah, they're trying to create the fear of scarcity. Yeah, there's not scarcity.
Yeah, there's so much abundance. Yeah,
it's ridiculous how much abundance.
Like I heard, if you take all the people in the world, I forgot which state in the U.S. is, but if you take all the people in the world, you can literally put them in all in one state, and we'll have all the rest of the world empty, basically.
You mean the United States? Or?
Yeah, no, in the world.
Oh, into like one continent or one state?
Like one state. What? I heard you could put everyone in one state. I forgot what state it was. I'll Google it later. Maybe I'm getting my facts wrong.
It's probably Texas.
Yeah.
Or Alaska.
Yeah, or Alaska.
Yeah, something like
Alaska, you could just freeze them and stack them.
Yeah. True. Just fucking put them all in
Cryo
there.
chamber.
And I've been hearing stories of like, I'm not sure if conspiracy theories right now, but sometimes conspiracies go to become fact. But like even the government's like telling their producers, farmers stuff like stop growing crops, stop creating more cows or some shit like that.
Climate change.
Yeah, like put a hold on it while they're jacking up all these prices and stuff like that. And it's kind of stupid.
Right.
But there's also I want your thoughts on vegans.
Oh boy. Sweet people.
Yeah.
No, you know what? Here's the thing. That's always a touchy subject because people get so offended when you cap on their diet.
Yeah.
And
But they cap on our diets all the time too. 'Cause
Yeah.
I eat nothing but steak and eggs
You're
pretty
right.
much.
Fuck
So
them.
why not cap on them a little bit?
well, so, of course, when you mention vegans, I think about like two of the people that I love the most in this world. James
The sweetest
and Jess.
people, yes.
I love them.
Yeah, yeah.
I absolutely love them. And so I'm like, I'm like, God, I don't want to say anything that would come off and make me, and
Yeah.
sound offense or anything. I just,
Well, there's a part of it too because we're bringing a bunch of guests over, and everyone has different opinions. We know how
Right.
Jess and they are; they're sweethearts, and we have other friends coming in giving their opinions too. And then some are like, "Oh, I don't agree with that kind of lifestyle," And it's,
really,
but it's at the end of the day, it's us giving our opinions and our
Yeah.
feelings on it. So no one should take offense
no,
to it.
and
Yeah.
that's
It's just we're just trying to.
And I cap on the vegan diet in my Instagram story all the time.
I see that.
And I never offend. I think I've only offended like one or two people, but not COVID. Let's see. On the vegan diet, people just got to understand plant protein and animal protein are not the same.
Mm-hmm.
Plant protein is not as bioavailable as animal protein. It's not complete like animal protein is. You've got to combine specific food sources. I mean, you want a complete protein. I want to say you could probably do rice, black beans, and lettuce would probably create a complete protein. But how much of that do I have to eat to get enough complete protein to cross the protein threshold so I can turn on muscle protein synthesis?
Right.
And then how much of the protein, just because it's in there, doesn't mean it's available to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't mean I can digest and absorb it efficiently by any means. And so it only makes sense to eat 6 ounces of beef or 4 ounces of beef as opposed to, 14 pounds of lettuce. Like, to me, efficiency plays a huge role there. Not to mention the nutrient density in things like beef. It's so dense. You got a lot in there, more than just protein. I mean, you've got fats that are awesome. Beef fat's great. I'm not going to eat brisket every day, but if I'm eating 90% lean or 85%, I do eat 85 and 90% beef every day.
Oh, wow.
And honestly, my heart health, my blood levels have never been as good as they are now. And I eat beef on average at least 3 times a day.
Oh, wow.
And I eat eggs usually twice a day.
So what's your regular diet looking like?
Let's see. I don't exactly have a diet.
Right.
I try to eat about every 2.5 hours on average.
Okay.
Most of my meals are around between 35 and 45 grams of protein, sometimes up to 50, but that's, if I eat a meal and I'm like, yeah, let's eat a lot, then okay, I don't really care about how much protein.
Right.
But I try to have at least 35, and I don't really want to pass 45 grams of protein in a meal. Carbs, I sit pretty high on carbs. Usually every meal is 80 to 120. If it's around my workout, they're usually around 200 grams of carbs.
Oh, wow.
So I'll do 200 grams of carbs before I work out, around 200 to 300 during my workout, and then another 150 after I work out.
Holy shit.
Yeah, it's nuts. It gets nuts.
That's a big workout.
So if you have to break down your carb to protein ratio and fats, what would you say you'd be getting in a day on
let's
average?
see. My carbs usually sit around 1,000 to 1,200 grams a day. My protein usually sits somewhere around 240 to 250 grams a day.
Wow.
Fats, probably closer to 80, 85 grams, maybe 100 grams a day. Definitely in a surplus. I've been in a surplus for, about a year and a half.
Why are people so afraid of carbs?
They may misunderstand them. Misunderstand what your body does with them. For example, if I don't eat carbs and I might run out of glycogen or have low glycogen, then I just feel flat. I'm not strong. I don't get a pump when I work out. I don't recover. Maybe I get lightheaded. I go hypoglycemic really easily as well.
Right.
And carbs are they're protein sparing as well. So they will help prevent the loss of muscle. They're a fast energy source. They're a great energy source. The problem is people combine things wrong. They combine high carbs with high fats, low protein, and high sugars and salt is actually a good thing. You need salt.
Right.
So what you have happen in those cases, they eat all these carbs, they spike their insulin, that then is a storage hormone. Then they start shuttling all the fat and carbs away into their fat cells. If you're working out hard and your body needs to recover, then you can consume enough protein to initiate muscle protein synthesis. You can consume enough carbohydrates to fill your glycogen up and also keep your muscles full and have a good energy source there. Fats, just naturally occurring fats. I'll actually sometimes supplement with fats to get more in my diet. So I'll take fish oil, krill oil, or flaxseed oil,
Right.
which is the only seed oil I actually ingest is flaxseed. And I haven't done that in a while. It's been a minute, but usually I do krill oil and fish oil.
Okay.
I don't really supplement that much anymore. I take beef liver supplement, like dried grass-fed beef liver. I use a vitamin C supplement that's got just the whole food complex of vitamin C. Then I use a stuff called SAMe, which is fantastic for like joint health. It assists in like every enzymatic function in your body, as well as it's a mood stabilizer. It helps to increase serotonin production,
Oh, that's nice.
refill your serotonin. I do use a lot of like nutritional mushrooms. I'm a huge fan, like lion's mane and cordyceps and all that. You've been to my house. You've seen my kitchen. It's just like, I mean, it looks like a lab.
Yeah, it generally looks like a lab.
It does. We put
supplements, everything everywhere. Yeah,
we've got like inventory shelves up on a wall, and it's got all individual bags and bottles of like individual ingredients. So
wow.
We make our own pre-workout from scratch every time we go to the gym. Most all of our supplements we like make on our own there. But as far as my diet goes, it's really very basic actually. I'm primarily beef and eggs as my protein sources, yogurt as well, then rice, and I'll use a lot of corn tortillas.
Wow.
I'll eat wheat products every now and then, but it's not a major part of my diet. Today I craved pancakes, so I made pancakes.
Oh, okay.
Let's see, eat a lot of fruit. My wife and I do. I mean, we go through a ton of pineapple,
Nice.
blueberries, bananas, things like that.
Yeah, we love pineapples.
makes the bedroom taste good.
Yeah.
And actually, I started doing because I wanted to get away from pill supplements. I wanted to start using whole food supplements. I just feel like a lot of things are not natural. They're synthesized, and they don't do their job.
I feel like fruits do actually have a lot of benefits in helping you lose weight and stuff like that too. Only reason I'm saying that is because like when I start adding fruit smoothies to my diet twice a day, I noticed I started leaning out more.
Really?
Yeah, and before I wasn't eating that much fruit. Like I was eating maybe like once a week or something like that. But now I'm like as a regimen, like it's twice a day. I eat it with my protein shake. But I put like berries, blueberries, sometimes I throw a kiwi, some bananas, yogurt, and put it in my protein shake and blend it all together. And that's twice a day type system. And I noticed that technically I started increasing my calories in a way because my diet hasn't really changed. It's still the steak and eggs and all that basic stuff. But now I'm noticing I'm starting to cut down more weight and leaning out faster than I did before. So is there like an important part with fruits to help you with like?
When I actually did my last diet, it was a couple of years ago, but yeah, I kept fruit in there. Mainly apples was kind of a big go-to for me. One, because they've got some sugar in it, but it's not a massive amount of calories. And you could eat an apple and kind of quell your hunger for a while. You could, it's like if you're craving something, sometimes you just want to chew on something.
Yeah.
Especially if you're dieting. And so having an apple, I would do pickles too, but I would feel like an apple or fruits, low glycemic index fruits like blueberries, raspberries, things like that. They're pretty satiating too. Tons of antioxidants. Usually quite a bit of fiber. I mean, it's going to help your body function more clean, so to say.
If
It's
you
not gonna hurt you, yeah.
if you had to build if you had any tips for, because right now in the United States, obesity is absolutely crazy,
Yeah,
right?
a lot of it.
So if you could give a tip to those, like let's say average man that's like, what's the average height, like 5'7", 5'8". Let's put him like an upper, like lower 200s. He's got probably about 20% body fat, maybe 30. No, he's obese, right? So he's over 30. Over 30. How would you conduct the diet and exercise? What would you recommend?
I mean, if he's not doing anything, I'd say start with cardio.
Cardio.
At a minimum, start with cardio. I mean, lifting is gonna amp your heart rate up too, but right now the primary focus should just be getting the weight down. So I'd say start with cardio and don't be doing sprints. I don't do sprints. I do slow, steady state cardio for like 45 to 60 minutes.
Like biking, walking.
Stair mill at a low speed.
Right.
You just need to keep your heart rate in there, the 120 to 130 range.
What are we talking, like how many times a week?
I'd say do it at least 5 times a week. I mean, if you do it every day, that's better.
Gotcha. And then let's say he starts to drop weight and he wants to start building muscle now.
Wait till you get the weight off. That's what I would say.
Okay.
Wait till you drop the weight down and then go ahead and build back up. A lot of times you'll see guys doing that and they just hinder their weight loss efforts. Or they say, I want to lose 100 pounds and I lose 40, but now I want to build more muscle. Well,
Gotcha.
Probably not going to lose that next 60 if I focused on putting food in. So I'm in a surplus.
Oh, I see.
I feel like as you get a little bit more advanced in bodybuilding or weightlifting or exercise, whatever, fitness, it becomes easier to recomposition your body. So you can stay around the same weight while reducing body fat at the same time, which means you're adding muscle to your frame. But I mean, I didn't start being able to do that until about 2 years ago. And I've been in this for 12, 15 years of that.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I mean, seriously, for like 12 to 15 years.
Yeah.
I would say pick one or the other, especially if you're a novice. If you're really overweight, then you need to just focus on getting the weight down because you're unhealthy.
Right.
It's your body. If you're unhealthy, your body's not going to function optimally to build muscle. So get your weight down, get yourself at a good, stable, healthy level, and then go ahead and focus on putting on more stressful tissue onto your body.
Right. So I was just watching a video recently, and they were talking about how, like, it was Stan Efferding, and I can't remember the other gentleman's name, but they were saying that they've worked so hard on their body. Now they're at a level where they can just maintain.
Yeah.
And they don't have to do anything anymore. They can keep their muscle mass. They can keep their weight. They can keep their form, everything. Is that possible to do? Or is it something that you still have to put in work after?
I absolutely believe that's possible.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I think once you get to a point, your body can kind of adapt. You know how your body's going to respond to things. I mean, realize, let's take Stan, for example. Stan's the boss.
Right.
Love the guy.
Yeah.
Super nice guy. That dude is knowledgeable, man.
Yeah, he's a smart guy.
Yeah, I feel like a kindergartner when I talk to him. I've only talked to him a couple of times in like expos.
Right.
The guy's what? He's 50 something at this point. You know, his day-to-day routine of what he could eat normal is going to be based primarily off of maybe a little bit more of an elite diet. You know what I mean? Because he's been building for decades.
Yeah. So
for him to go, I can basically eat what I want. Okay, well, that's probably not going to be Jack in the Box and Post cereal, fruit gushers. You know what I mean? Right. He's probably not sitting back throwing down a bag of hot Cheetos every night.
Right.
So it should be taken a little bit differently when guys of that nature say, I can basically eat what I want and train how I want and I keep this. Well, how you want is essentially how you've been doing it.
Right. It's different.
You just don't feel like you're just not trying to amp up for a competition anymore. So you're just on coast, which is awesome. But it's still 10 times healthier and 10 times more detail oriented than the average person.
Yeah, because everybody's going to late night Jack in the Box, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense.
So do you believe there's a thing as like good carbs and bad carbs?
Yeah, like optimally, you don't want like high fructose corn syrup or highly processed sugars, things like that.
Which a lot of breads have, right? Correct.
A lot of breads are processed. Yeah, I'm not sure about the sugar content of bread. I mean, I would say bread is probably. I'm not a big fan of white bread, but honestly, you could eat white bread and be fine if you time it. If you eat it at a time where having something high glycemic is beneficial to you. You know?
Would that be like after a workout? Correct.
Like after a workout.
Yeah.
I would say. I mean, breads are great, dude. I make bread all the time. I eat bread all the time. I usually go with like a more integral bread. Integral.
Yeah.
Bad carbs, candy,
sugars,
processed juices, soda pop.
Yeah, sugars.
Yeah, things like that. I mean, there's even good sugars, I would say. You know, naturally occurring like sugars and fruits and
things
like
stuff.
that. But.
So your method of dieting or keeping your nutritions is more based on macros, or are you like a calorie guy?
Yeah, it is more based on macros, but I'm not a if it fits your macros guy. Like my meals generally fall into a window. Also realize just because you eat it, you're not going to absorb 100% of the nutrients you put in your body. If I need to absorb 35 grams of protein across the protein threshold, internal muscle protein synthesis, then I should probably consume 40 to 45.
Right.
You know, maybe a little bit more right in there, just because maybe I don't absorb 100%, maybe I get 85%. It just depends on the bioavailability of the food that you're consuming at that time. And obviously there's ways to make it more bioavailable if you have digestive enzymes or liquids. If you, instead of eating a bunch of spinach, blend it into a shake.
So leading into social expectations, do you feel like with the low T and everything, that's kind of like one of the big issues that's going on with like modern men and maybe females? Like, you know, there's a whole thing.
Yeah. I think it plays a role. I mean, if you want my personal opinion on it, let me see if I can word this in an organized way. I feel like if you're a dude and you're not an elite class looking dude, or you don't have an elite level of resource availability, then you're not going to get much attention from people or women, especially, which let's get real. That's what guys really want. We want to get validated by women. And so there's the standard for what is considered attractive or appealing or prerequisite in order to be considered an attractive guy or a desirable guy is so out of touch with reality to an extent. You get into the dating space, for example, and I don't know if you guys use dating apps.
I stopped using them.
I haven't used a dating app
over a year ago. Yeah,
it was 8 years ago.
Yeah,
7, 8 years ago. But what I've heard now is when you get on there, it's not a bunch of like 20 to 30-year-old dudes. You got a bunch of dudes in their 50s and 40s and 50s, and you got a bunch of guys that younger guys can't even compete with them on these apps. And those same guys, the 40 or 50-year-old guys, are on here looking for 18, 20, 22-year-old girls.
Makes sense, though.
And the girls are going off to be sugar babies.
Yeah.
And so you're leaving a huge group of millennial guys. I mean, millennial guys, so many dudes don't have sex.
Yeah.
It's the most sexless generation there's ever been.
Yeah, I believe it's like 1 in 4.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Are either virgins or not having sex within the.
But then you take the guys that are having sex and look at how many partners they have.
Yeah.
Look at how their reach. Or I mean, it was crazy to me moving here to Vegas, seeing how many girls that are like 21, 22, and their boyfriend's 50. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite common here in Vegas.
Or these guys, what they'll do is, you know, so many girls have a sugar daddy, and they're making, you know, they've got 3 or 4 sugar daddies. They're making 20 grand a month just to go over and hang out and mess around with sugar daddy once a month, you know?
Yeah.
And it creates this expectation where now if you're a guy, you have to be, if you don't have 6-pack abs and you don't have, you know, sub 6% body fat and enough muscle to look good on my Instagram posts, one, your girlfriend's not even going to post you on her social media. You don't exist. 2, if you don't have that, if you're not that physical standard, well, then you better have a ton of resources to give her, because she demands, you know, the boob job and the injections and all the cosmetic treatments, and she expects it.
Well, that's something that came up because of social media, though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
And now you've got the 50-year-old dude jumping in line to say, hey, I'll pay for all that for you.
Exactly.
Which takes all these guys in their prime out, essentially, almost to an extent, out of the dating or breeding pool.
Do you believe that men start their prime the same time as women do?
I'm not sure. I would say, I don't know. I don't know that I could generalize it like that. I feel like a lot of women kind of hit their prime in their mid-30s, but I feel like guys do too.
Because have you heard of the sexual marketplace?
I've heard that phrase, but I'm not very familiar with it.
Okay, so the sexual marketplace basically says that men start off with no value and that women from birth are born with all of their value. So a woman's sexual prime is when she's 16, but let's make it legal 18 until about 24. That's her highest level of prime in the sexual marketplace. So that's why a lot of these older gentlemen are going for the younger girl, because they're more fertile, they're more youthful, they have their beauty, right?
Yeah.
So they have that natural beauty still. As they get older, they now rely on makeup, creams, and all of these other things in order.
Right.
So men don't get into our prime because we have to earn our value. So when we turn 18, we have to work our ass off in order to get, you know, the car, the money, the status, you know. So we don't really get to that point until we're in about our mid 30s, and that's and it goes up from there.
Right.
So our prime hits later on in life, whereas women is way earlier in life.
Right.
So, that being said, I don't think we go into the same prime, and I think that's why you're seeing a lot more of that. Like the older gentlemen, they're getting with the younger girls because they're like, dude, all the women that are in my age group, it's kind of considered leftovers. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, why are they still single at 30, mid 30, 40? Like, something's wrong with them.
Yeah. What made you got rejected by a dude in his 50s? Yeah. What's wrong with you?
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I think so much of that also, I think there's a level of degree where none of these girls want to settle down with a dude in his 50s. Yeah. They want what he has right now. Yeah. But what they're doing is they're also giving up that period of development or interaction with potential mates in their own.
Well, they're giving up their best years, right?
Yeah, they are to a degree. And they're giving it up just so they can be a plaything for some old dude because he gives them money in most cases. I mean, come on, dude. How many of these girls we know that have a 50-year-old boyfriend and they're in their early 20s, and you on her social media, she's single. Yeah. You don't see that he exists, you know. You just see the vacations and you see the luxury houses and you see the Gucci bags and.
But you know, are you familiar with hypergamy? Hypergamy, where there's so basically women are always going to date up. Yeah. So let's say they start dating a guy who works at McDonald's. Right after they break up with him, they don't want to go for a guy who works at McDonald's or lower. Right. They have to go for the guy that starting now, instead of making 30 grand working at McDonald's as a manager, they have to go and find a guy who's making 45, 50 grand or 60 grand. Right. So the higher they go up, they can never date down. Whereas men, our hypergamy is different, where we're like, we don't give a shit about women that are at our level. We don't care if she has a 6-figure income like we do, or makes more money than we do. We want somebody who's going to be loyal and listen to us. Right. So we can literally go up to pull up in a drive-through and see a cute girl that's, you know, taking our money as the cashier register and just be like, hey, what are you doing tonight? Yeah. Right. Whereas a woman can never do that. She can't just pull up in her Porsche to a McDonald's drive-through and be like, oh, he's cute. I can see myself dating him and being with him in the future. That's not possible. So that's what hypergamy is.
Well, do you think it's not possible, or do you think it's just conditioned out of them?
I don't think it's possible. Really? I think women always look for security and protection naturally in a man, right? Because women are supposed to be the ones that are gatherers and take care of the household. And I'm taking this far back, right? So, and men are supposed to be the one that goes out there and gets it. So the tribal leader is always the one who has the most women, right? Right, and then the other women who can't or won't do the things that a man necessarily needs, she then becomes stuck with somebody who she doesn't want.
Well, I guess my point, what I was going to touch on there with what you said, my point of the question was, who says that the guy working at the McDonald's can't provide? Well, who says he can't provide safety and a well-being? He just maybe can't provide her ideal lifestyle right then. So is it really about protection and safety, or is it about status?
Well, that's what women want in a hypergamous, nature. They want somebody who has money, who has the status. That's why they're not gonna, that's why they choose the 50-year-old. Right. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I'm not.
Right. No, I'm just saying.
But once again, is that really? I feel like there's a degree of that that's enculturated into them.
The modern women, right?
Yeah, I mean, for example, you get out of the city, you go to a place like Utah or go to a smaller, and it's totally different. You'll find the knockouts with dating the guys that maybe they don't look the best, but they're consistent, they're dependable, they provide well.
Right.
You have a lot of the women that I've seen in cities like this. It's a very different mindset.
Yeah.
It's the mindset of today. It's not the mindset of what's coming in the future. I'm with this guy because he provides something I like and it's convenient and I feel cool right now.
It's fun.
But how many of these girls, these girls go for are abusive? How many of them are violent? How many of them are dangerous guys? That's, I mean, how often do you hear about these 22-year-old girls getting punched around all the time?
But I can't remember who was saying it. I can't remember if it was a Fresh and Fit podcast or Andrew Tate or somebody. I don't know if you're familiar with any of those guys.
I've heard of Andrew Tate, but I haven't watched his.
So they said that like in a way, women want to fear their man. Like in order to respect them, they have to fear their man to a certain point, not in a point where like he's beating the shit out of her, but like where he knows that, or where she knows that he can basically say, you know what, I don't need this shit. I can go and find 1,000 other beautiful women that will take care of me and give me what I need in my life. And he can basically exploit that fear, and then she would then respect him, because if she doesn't have any fear for him, she would disrespect him and walk all over him. So as a higher value male in society today, they want to have some type of level of fear, not to get beaten up, but like just to know that, hey, he can put me in my place if I need to. Okay.
So on the inverse, so basically that sounds a lot like religion. Is she's with him, she respects him out of fear, not out of love. It's I want or need the resources that he provides. So he has what I have, he has what I want. I also know maybe he's not a guy that I want to cross. So there's a level of intimidation there. Maybe that creates a level of excitement.
Right.
But that generally is not very conducive of loving somebody, because how much are you going to trust the guy if you feel that he could basically, that brings up the question of
I
mean, you think about when you get comfortable in a relationship with somebody and you're like, I know this person's got my back. As long as I'm straight with them, as long as I'm solid with them. I know, like my wife Megan, she's got my back 110%, man. I mean, trust me, dude. If we got to go into a dark cave, she'll go with me.
Yeah.
She'll probably jump up ahead of me. That girl has gone after dudes who talked down to me before. Like she went after this Asian guy one time.
Not me.
Terrified. Not him, no.
Just so we're clear.
not me either.
She just ripped him a new one.
Really?
He was like 60 years old.
Oh shit.
And he was kind of talking down to me, and she got in his face.
Yeah.
And he was terrified. And he ran off, like he bailed.
Oh wow.
But here's the thing. At the time, we were like broke.
Yeah.
I mean, I've been like for the last several years, up until just recently, I was working in restaurants. If I could make $100 in a shift, I was doing a great job, to be honest.
Right.
And so I didn't ever have anything. Finances and having any kind of luxury isn't something I've experienced until about a year ago. And so all my previous dating experiences were, honestly, I had amazing connections in a few relationships. My wife and I, we were unbelievably close, and we were incredibly close from day one.
Right.
When I was renting a room in a place, and I was struggling at times to make my $225 a month rent because I was a student. I was in like 20 credits at university, and then I couldn't. I was dealing with depression. I'd been divorced about a year previous to that, so emotionally I was all over the place. And I was not in a good state. And she didn't take me on as like a fixer-upper at all.
Right.
We met, we became like best friends right away. I told her the day I met her, I was like, I don't really want to be friends. I want to date you.
Right.
But like, I want to be friends too, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess I see what you're saying there. And I've heard that a lot from several of these guys that are kind of the neo-masculinity. Right. Dudes are like, your woman needs to fear you to have respect.
The manosphere, yeah.
And I feel like if my woman loves me enough to be loyal to me and loves me enough to stay committed with me, and
well, those are the best ones.
And put up with me, then I would much rather her be with me and take because she loves me.
Right.
She feels committed to me than because she's afraid of me. How quick are you going to bail on the dude when you have another option? When you're afraid of him, when you just respect him for something. Respect and love don't necessarily. I feel like if you love somebody, you'll respect them. If you respect somebody, you might not love them.
So my question for you is: do you believe that women and men love the same? And is there such thing as unconditional love?
I think there's different types of love. Unconditional love. I believe you can love somebody unconditionally, but that doesn't always mean that you're going to keep that love, if that makes sense. Like, let's say you're married or you have a partner or somebody that you love and you've been with them for a long time, and that's your world. You've essentially, if you're doing it right, you're building your world around the person that you decide to spend your life with. Let's say that person goes and does something, whether they cheat on you or they throw you, which I'll be honest, like cheating on somebody, like sexually, I don't think is the worst thing you can do to somebody in a relationship. That's not to say go do it, it's okay, but I'm saying I think there are worse things that you can do that will cause more damage. You'll still love the person because you'll be hurt. But you might be able to look at it and go, you know what, I love this person, but loving this person is not conducive of well-being. In which case you go, I can't have unconditional love. I can have unconditional love, but at some point, everything unconditional becomes unhealthy to a degree.
Well, the only reason why I mentioned that is because I think a lot of times people start mixing things up. For a man, we can actually unconditionally love somebody because that's it. Like, I'm going to go back to the hypergamous factor that men love differently, because we can take somebody who has nothing and fall in love with them.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right.
But as a woman, it's different because they're hypergamous in the sense of they need to find security and protection. So they're going to find the best person who's going to give them, their children, the best survivability rate.
I think the mature woman would think that way more so.
Yeah.
And I think women are going to be different there.
You mean like the youthful women, like the younger?
No, I just think it's going to vary from woman to woman. I mean, I know several guys that are, you know, they don't emotionally commit to anybody. They might play the emotional game, they might play the relationship game, but they will cut her off the second it's not convenient for them anymore, the second something more fun walks by. I know girls like that too. I understand what society talks about women always dating up, but I also know just as many examples of women that dated down. I mean, believe you me, there were times when I went out with girls and had girlfriends that I was like, how in the world am I pulling this? You know, I'm like, I got her tricked, whatever's going on, just keep the drugs in the water, man.
Well, I mean, you kind of stand out a little bit more compared to the other men. I mean, you're how tall are you? 6 feet?
Like 6'1", yeah.
6'1". You're in pretty good shape.
Thank
You already are surpassing a lot of factors. Now, I don't know how much.
Well, I mean, like back in the day, though, I wasn't. Bro, I used to have like a big meth beard and a mohawk. You've seen my pictures.
Yeah, I see some pictures.
Yeah,
But I mean, I'm talking about the fact that you've been in shape. I don't know.
Yeah, it's totally different now.
Right.
I was actually going to bring that up.
Okay.
Back in the day when I was a 280-pound guy, 300-pound guy, like to get girls' attention, like, that was tough. You know, and it's not like they really liked me. It's not like they were attracted to me or anything.
Right,
like that,
right.
You know? I lived in the friend zone. I would meet girls and get to know them, and if I liked them, eventually, in many cases, like we'd start dating somehow. It would work out, and I always wondered. I'm like, I don't have money. I look like shit. I'm struggling. I'm an emotional head case. How do I have a gorgeous girlfriend who, in many cases, I had there were some girls I dated that were like, would have followed me off a cliff, you know? And not to say they were the healthiest relationships, but we're not exactly talking about the healthiest relationship dynamics, period, with
Right.
if you're with somebody because you're staying with them because you're afraid of them. I mean, so I would say that I don't want to fully agree with any of those generalizations, because I myself have seen in my personal life just as many examples of the contrary as I have with what we're discussing as why women would date up.
Right.
Hypergamy, you said?
Hypergamy.
But I do think there is a lot of truth in that. I just think it varies from person to person. I don't think all women necessarily only judge the, I don't know, viability of a person, of a mate, based on those things. I think there's a lot more that goes into it.
Now, I think now there is a lot more for women to look at and to look for.
Yeah.
For sure. But I'm talking about if we had to bring it back to when there was really no social media.
Oh yeah, if we go all the way back to
if we go all the way back, but that's what I'm saying is that it's still within nature. I mean, it's buried down there, but you'll still see people acting on those certain things.
Yeah. No.
You know what I mean? Like, let's say, like, I don't know what your financial situation is like now. You seem to be a very ambitious guy, so that's probably a good thing for your relationship as well. Because
yeah, I think so.
If let's say you were still bumming it and didn't care about the way your appearance was, you weren't taking care of anything, you didn't have any life goals, would you say that your wife would still want to be with you?
I doubt it. I wouldn't want to be with me.
That's what I'm saying. So that brings it back to the hypergamous factor. A woman always has a certain time frame where she can only deal with so much before she leaves. Now
that makes sense.
I'd
be the same way though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So you're a 6 foot dude, lean as fuck. You got your own little business going on. I don't know how big it is. I don't know. We just met for the first time, really, right? So I don't really know much, but you seem like you got a good head on your shoulders.
Thank you.
So I can see why women would find you attractive. You fall into the higher value males now, right? Compared to when you were younger, yeah, maybe you had some factor that was toxic. You were like that. Yeah, you probably had relationships that were in and out, falling in and out all the time, but nothing was kept there.
Right.
Because it goes back to the love for a man and a woman. Those two things are different.
Right.
And then is there a conditional love, yes or no, for men and women? Women can't love unconditionally. The only thing they can love unconditionally is their children.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does.
And then for men, we can love unconditionally. Women always have a condition when it comes to their partners, though.
Interesting.
Because
Yeah,
if you were to fall apart right now, how long could she be with you?
right.
Before she's like, I can't fucking do this anymore.
Yeah, no, that's the point. That's kind of why I say I believe in different kinds of love, but not so much. I think you can have. I guess I think you're kind of right to a degree there, because like I can see people that I can love pretty unconditionally, and some things I might withdraw that love intentionally because it's painful to maintain.
Right. Exactly.
So I'll go. There have been cases where I'm like, I've got to get away. Yeah. Love you. I feel terrible about this. But my life's going that way.
Yeah.
And
So
I've done that recently.
yeah.
So
How many women have you loved that didn't do shit? Didn't really do anything, but you love them. You wanted to protect them, right? Because that's just how you are as a man. And then when you had nothing, they just disappeared.
True. That happened a lot, actually.
yeah, that happens like 9 out of 10 times.
Yeah. That happened a lot.
No, that's true.
Yeah.
And generally, girls are not there to give you a hand.
Yeah. Yeah. They want, sometimes some of these girls jump in and they say, oh, you know what? I'm like, what were you saying? It's the fixer upper, right?
Yeah.
A lot of women think, oh, I can create this man, but
I think that's a need to be needed.
that is true. But at the same time, women can't really make men.
I'm gonna agree with that 100%.
Yeah.
I look at the majority of my friends that were raised without dads, they struggle a little bit.
Yeah. They're a little bit different, right?
There's something that happens to a guy when you're punished by a woman too.
Yeah.
It's a little bit emasculating.
Yeah. And then it seems like a lot of the men who grew up with just single moms, they always seek for women's validation and approval because that's what they receive from mom.
Yeah. Or they hate women.
Yeah. Oh,
I've seen that one.
I haven't seen that one.
I've seen that one because mom was a bitch. And so they grow up and they do not have respect for women.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. I haven't seen that one. Yeah. I don't hang out with those guys. I like the guys that like women. So
Yeah. Well, I don't mean they go gay.
right. No, I know.
I mean, they just see what I've seen several guys that grew up in that situation, and they just see women as just an object for their enjoyment.
Oh.
Yeah. I mean, look where I work. I work here at Crazy Horse. I see that all the time. Most of the guys that walk in there.
I mean, that is a man's nature, though, it's naturally to breed with as many women as possible. So,
Right.
Yeah. So now it's a little bit different because we have so many
Social
different
constructs.
so many social constructs and securities.
I think so the way it's kind of with like modern society going with like as far as dating culture goes, the younger women are starting to date the older men because they want to live that type of lifestyle typically, and the younger guys, like statistically, we're not as sexually active as the older guy or as the women in the same age group, right? So as we're progressing older, creating our value, creating our resources, our body, our figure, we get more demanded in the sexual marketplace, correct?
Yeah.
So in a way, what I'm trying to get to is in the future, this is going to hinder the women of the same age group as they get older too, right? Because they've been dating guys that have been like in their 50s or whatever, trying to live this high glam lifestyle.
Yeah.
Now the old man's going to die eventually because he's fucking old, right? And us at the point, we're going to get to that point in the 50s or whatever, where we're going to start being like, well, we have all this money, we know whatever, resources or looks. And now we're going to go to the dating market and we're going to think the same thing. Like, why am I going to go for someone that's like, my age?
Yeah,
and she's still single. Like, well, she's been doing single. And then we're going to start going for the younger ones. So is this in a way like an undying type?
I'll be straight up. This is purely me here. I'm a little different here, but this is purely I cannot. I'm going to say probably 90% of the time, I cannot stand like the younger girls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, that I've met some around the 26-year-old range. It's like, okay, you're cool. You can hold an adult conversation.
Right.
28, 30, you're getting, much more. Now we can actually have an adult conversation.
Right.
You've had enough experience in the world that we can have a pragmatic conversation. I don't really find women attractive if I can't have some kind of intellectual stimulation from them. I got to be able to have a conversation. If you're just dumb and vapid, that goes for guys too.
Yeah.
Plenty of those.
Yeah.
We both do. We know plenty of those.
Yeah. Oh, we do.
Especially working in this industry.
Yeah.
But if I can't have some kind of substance there, I really don't even see a chick as sexually attractive. It's like you could be pretty, but all you are to me is eye candy, really. If you can hold conversation, that makes a woman 10 times more attractive to me. If you can, it's like, okay, you look good on the outside, but what's in here? What's in the brain? What's going on in there?
Yeah, I agree.
You get to a point where, man, that body's going to look like hell someday.
Yeah.
Very true.
Yeah. Beauty doesn't last forever.
You take off your shirt, looking like an orangutan, like it's over at that point. But guess what? The mind is still there, and it hopefully more developed.
Yeah.
And I'd much rather, at that point, I'd much rather lose myself in a girl, in a woman's mind than anything else.
Well, what I'm saying though is, yeah, from our perspective, our mentality, correct? Because we're a little bit older and we kind of see. I think we're in the changing phase where it's kind of like we're in the middle. Like we still get a little bit of the old dating market, and now we're getting the new dating market.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about someone like who's 21 and he's like trying hard to get these chicks on the dating app or whatever. And he's like, man, what the fuck? Like I've been on this map for like fucking 3 months and I have one connection.
I think we can all say that we hate the 21-year-old guy, though. All of us. We all look at that guy and go away.
Yeah. But then what I was going to is like, as he gets older, he's going to be, that like 50, hopefully, if he works on himself, creates his resources and everything, he's going to get that older market. He might have like a thing like, well, why would I go with the girl my age when they were all going for someone else type thing? And I wasn't getting laid till now.
Right.
So I want something younger.
Oh, it's like reparations.
Yeah, it's like reparations almost in a way.
Sexual reparations.
Yeah, in a way. So it's like,
man.
in a way, it's kind of like a never-ending circle of just toxicity, right?
Well, I just think, honestly, I think you might have it might be something like certain individuals might think like that. But I think at the end of the day, men are going to want to go towards what has, the fertility, the youth, all of that, because we know that our mate is still, because it goes back to giving birth, right? So the best age for a woman to give birth back in the day was like the younger, the better. Yeah. Right now, there's a legal age, which is 18. So the earliest you can get her is at 18. The older she gets, it starts becoming dangerous and fishy, right?
Yeah.
Because then there's a lot of health issues for your offsprings. There's a lot of mental and so many different things that would happen.
There are more potential risks.
Right, potential risks. So why would you go for somebody who's mid 30s or late, like early 30s, when you can go for a girl who's 20 something?
I mean,
because not all girls are fucking idiots.
Yeah,
it's just social media is putting out all the idiots.
Yeah, it's a byproduct of our
right. Because I'm sure you're with your woman because she's somewhat fascinating to you, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you find her fascinating your own way. For me, I'm with my girl because I do the same. I'm in the same boat. I find her fascinating, in my own way. But I think what's going on with social media and the modern society is that we're seeing all of these high value women, which it's fucking stupid, but they're like Cardi B, Nicki Minaj, the City Girls, and they're saying all these things and they're empowering women, but they're not in the same status as all these other women, and they're fucking themselves.
And just on that empowering women, if most of them knew the damage they're doing to themselves in the name of empowerment, oh god, they'd stop.
That's what I'm saying.
Because it's like, honey, right now you're basically marketing yourself as easy meat to an old dude that's got the money to pay for easy meat. But one day you're gonna probably want to have a family,
right?
And you are drastically damaging your marketability as a wife, if that's what you want, in this lifestyle. And nobody wants to own that. I feel like our culture or our society, so to say, has alleviated women of accountability to a degree. Whereas men, you have to pay for your actions. You have to be responsible for your actions. You have consequences. It's like if you screw up, if you piss your girl off, you've got to go apologize 22 different times and spend a month's wages and all these crazy expectations to prove that you're sorry. She generally doesn't even have to apologize to you. You just need to be like, look, okay, I get it. You didn't mean to. Yeah. And she might have meant to. Men, this culture generally gives victim status to women from the get-go. It's just their default. So you look at couples that split up because somebody cheated. And if the guy cheated, what do they say? Oh, son of a bitch, piece of shit. Yeah, well, he was a piece of shit anyways.
Talk mad shit.
If the girl cheats, well, what did he do?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And
big facts.
Yeah.
And it's like, I mean, for example, get this. You look at like cases of like domestic violence, for example. Do you know with a domestic violence phone call, all you have to do is call and accuse. They get arrested. Right. In most places. Right. And now the guy's going to have to go to court and he's going to have to pay he's going to have to bail himself out because he'll go to jail. Right. And even if it comes forward, even if it gets proven that no, he never did anything, it was a false allegation, he doesn't get his money back. He doesn't get his time back. His name's still out there in the bookings. His picture, his mugshot's still out there. His reputation's still shot. He's got to go expunge an arrest from his file. I mean, you just put years. He
doesn't get hired at jobs or anything.
He doesn't get hired. He doesn't get a rent. He can't get into a house. And that's just because he has a DV arrest on his record.
Especially with false accusations, especially when it comes to grape. We call it grape on the podcast. Yeah. Yeah. So when it comes to that, I mean, it's so fucked up because it's been happening for so long. And I think women should really, once they find out that it's a false accusation, that women should be punished. But no,
they should be, absolutely. And I think it should be a more grave punishment than the person they accused was going to receive. Because not only did that person not do this to you, but you very likely could have just destroyed that person's life.
Oh, you 100%.
How many people have we seen that lose their scholarships, lose their careers, lose everything they have because of a false accusation? And then when the false accusation, when it comes out that it was false, there is no redemption campaign for this guy.
Yeah, none.
people are still going to look at him. People are still going to side eye him
Yeah.
because of that.
The only way he can ever get a chance back at life is if he were to move completely out of the
You got to start your life over.
Yeah. Completely in a different country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. And I've known several people that have been through that.
Yeah. It's fucked up, man.
It is. I mean, and you look at like the social society's ability to forgive women, and it's honestly, let's get real with that one. It's because it's a bunch of dudes that want to get laid.
Yeah.
And so it's very easy to forgive a woman when you're trying to hop in bed with her.
Yeah.
And that's what a lot of it is. I feel you always have these dudes that want to play the back door to get with girls. They want to be the friend. We're just friends, bro. And they play the back door approach. And it's like there's three things you need to have a sexual encounter. You know what they are?
What's that?
Proximity, trust,
That's true.
time.
Yep.
You have proximity and time and trust, and you just give it time, and eventually it will present itself. Platonic relationships. I used to say to my wife,
God.
I used to not believe in them, period.
Right.
At this point, I can honestly say that I can believe in platonic relationships much more than I used to. Look at it and go, no. And then I look at it and I go, okay, let's think about it for a second. Very rarely are they platonic on both sides. I think one side could be platonic. Are you going to spend your time, if you find a chick that's not attractive, not appealing, not interesting to you or anything like that, are you going to spend your time around her?
Nope.
You going to spend your money on her?
Nope.
You going to go out of your way to spend time around her if she's not a viable mate?
Nope.
Okay. Now, but
If she's ugly, yeah, no.
but we can, but at the same
Hold
time,
on.
at the same time,
He's
we
making a point.
can also think back around times that there's definitely, every one of us has girls that we've hung out with that sure, they're cute. And maybe that's what got us interested in talking to them.
Right.
But at some point we probably said, I don't want to touch that. I don't want to ruin the cool, maybe I do have a good friendship.
Right.
And so like we've had friends that we've hung out with. We have several mutual friends that are really cute girls.
Yeah.
No interest whatsoever. Just because like they're cool and I've got a good enough relationship with them and I'm solid with my wife. And I was like, okay, obviously there's no interest there beyond just being.
Would you say that's more of like your decision though?
Definitely.
Yeah. Because then if it's a girl that friend zones a guy, it's not the same thing usually because the guy still wants to smash.
Right.
Right. So it's usually like, I
So
think.
he's waiting just for any chance he can.
Yeah. So like actual male and female friendships is pretty much only possible through the male's decision then, right? Because
well,
the
it
male's
requires yeah, I think it takes self-control to an extent. Because
Yeah.
there is almost always at some point along the line of if there's any relationship between a guy and a girl, at some point in there, the biology is going to make its appearance. It's going to you're going to think about it at some point. If you say you don't, you're full of shit.
Yeah.
Okay. But that doesn't mean it's the basis of your relationship. And it doesn't mean it has to go there. You know, I feel like where I didn't used to believe in platonic relationships at all, I can see where they are possible because I do have a few now. And don't get me wrong, there's some girls that I'm friends with that I don't think you look good at all. Sorry. I know you're disappointed. But the majority of them no.
Yeah, because most of the chicks that are friends of mine, it's because I just don't have any sexual interest towards them.
And so you're cool with the friendship.
Yeah, so they might be cool, like, you know, they might be good looking or whatever, but for the most part, and I think of it this way too, I feel like if I sleep with them, I'll ruin the friendship.
But that's how girls are too, though.
As you become friends with them, though, you get to where you actually care about their well-being. And I don't want to get this. This is just going to cause pain.
Yeah, I'm like, I know how it's going to end. It's not going to work out.
We've all seen the friends that hook up and then it's drama.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now the
Exactly.
group is one person less. You know, and we've all seen that. It's just
I want to take it back a little bit because you said something about how women do not hold their own accountability anymore. Like women aren't accounted for anything anymore. They always have an outs.
Yeah.
And I really want to touch on that subject because I think people needed to hear about that. Because you're right. Because I love women, dude. But the whole problem with modern society nowadays is there's always a cop out.
yeah.
Like okay, I'm gonna ask this question. For overweight women, why do they feel like they're queens? But for overweight men, why do they feel like why are they bullied, but overweight women aren't?
Because women are a protected class. If I hop on here, you're supposed to hold the door for women. You're supposed to have chivalry, right? You're supposed to protect women emotionally and physically. That's how as much as society wants to look at it and say, well, it's not your job to. Sorry, we've been bred and conditioned to our entire lives.
Yeah.
Would you rather us not? And so when a woman so when you take a woman in that say she's overweight, God bless her, whether it's genetics or bad habits,
Mostly bad habits.
mostly bad habits, but I mean, there's genetics there as well, but let's get real. Hypothyroidism is not as egregious as they want you to think it is. I have it. So, it's because there's always somebody there waiting to victimize them. As soon as one person says something that's mean or undesired, it doesn't mean it's a lie. It just means it's undesired. It might just mean somebody's there to come in and say, well, that's rude or that's mean. And you're going after a protected class essentially. And so there's come the defenders.
Do you think it's because it really evolves around their friends? Like for guys, if you're fat and like if Sebastian started gaining 50 fucking pounds and I'm like, dude, what the fuck, dude?
Oh yeah, everybody would rag on him in public. We'd be ragging on him in the podcast right now.
Right.
Couldn't do it if it was a chick.
Right.
You put some 5'2", 350 chick sitting there on that couch, and your couch starts doing this shit.
But her friends
couldn't even mention it.
Right, but her friends would be like, no, you look great.
You're beautiful. Look at your nails.
Yeah.
Your nails look great, honey.
Right. So do you think that that plays into it as well?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think you do have that little support group.
Yeah.
But let's get real. Whether you have a support group or not, you're insecure about it. Me looking at you and saying you're fat maybe it's mean. Maybe it's harsh. Is it a lie? No. Can you change it? 9 times out of 10, yeah.
With a lot of dedication.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I'll be straight up and say it, like, I don't have to want to see you naked. Like, if I look at you and I'm like, God, I don't want to see that naked.
Right.
I'm not a bad guy for that. You're bad for telling me I have to want to see that naked.
Right. Well, the other thing is, it's funny because we've talked about this on the podcast before, but we've noticed that when it comes to shopping online or any type of advertisement for men, it's always a fit
Always
guy.
a fit dude with abs.
Always a fit guy.
Yeah.
But now
Dude, the abs popping through his fucking hoodie.
Yeah, but now you're starting to see the advertisement for women where like Victoria's Secret models are now plus size.
Yeah, and they have balls.
Yeah.
No,
and they have fucking balls.
Was that Victoria's Secret? Or
I don't know if that was.
Who was that one?
Fuck, which one was
You know the one I'm talking about? The dude. He was like the big drastic eyebrows. Right?
Yeah. I forgot.
And
What
a
was that?
fucking bulge.
Was it Victoria's? Maybe it was
I don't know
Victoria's.
who it was. I can't remember which company it was, but it was interesting.
Yeah, that was, and then there was another one where the dude was pregnant. Oh, it was Lil Nas, right?
Yeah.
It was Lil Nas that was pregnant, right? There was a photo shoot with Lil Nas. Yeah, I think it was a photo shoot of Lil Nas being pregnant and all that stuff. But wasn't there a lady just recently too that she killed her boyfriend and she was the abusive one or something like that?
Yeah. So there's an OnlyFans girl, right? So this chick was, I don't know, she's on OnlyFans, but she just recently murdered her boyfriend. But she started pleading guilty, or not guilty, but she pled that she was not guilty because she said that he was pimping her out or whatever. But that's not the case. They found that a video 2 months prior to her stabbing the shit out of him, that she was abusive, and they caught it on an elevator camera where he came in and she was already mad, and then she just started swinging at him in the closed door when the elevator had closed, and so that's the ongoing investigation. But I want to go,
bro. That's a one-punch fix. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just not even a full heart, not even a full speed, not even a full force one. Just one.
All right, let's go to that then. Why is it that women think they can fight men?
Because they're a protected class.
Yeah. In reality, if we were to take away the protection, could women actually fight a man and survive?
No. It's not what the big part of what you said is and survive.
Right.
I dare say that if a woman was to full on take on a man, I don't really care the woman versus the man. I mean, don't get me wrong. I know a couple of women that would whoop the shit out of dudes. All right. I got one friend, and if she sees this, she's going to know exactly who I'm talking about. Girl's about 6'1", jacked out of her mind. One of the strongest people I know would obliterate dudes. I mean, she could pick a dude up and break him on her knee.
Right.
Most women, though, are 5'1" and 115 pounds. And
Right. She's the exception.
you can't swing your bag as hard as I could throw a slap.
Right.
So I don't agree with hitting women. However, I feel that if I'm in a situation, like if some chick reached out and slapped me, dude, I'm not going to go knock her out of her shoes.
Right.
Why?
Because we know.
No, exactly. Because I know. I know. I might push you away by your head or something, but you're not going to hurt me.
Right. We know.
And I will hurt you.
Right.
So even in a lot of it's going to happen in those fits of rage when somebody hits you and you're like, and it's just a reaction, you can control yourself there. But back to the point you were saying, no, they're not going to make it through a real fight with a man. I mean, you see some chicks that are in the hospital because they took 1 or 2 hits or maybe half a dozen hits. And it's like, you see him and he's untouched.
Well, they've said that an average 14-year-old boy can actually obliterate an average woman.
I believe that.
Yeah. Because of the testosterone factor.
When I was 14, I was benching 225.
Yeah.
I was a 14-year-old kid. And I'm like, God forbid my PE teacher tells me to run an extra lap. I could have put her on their ass.
So you think because of like women are such a protected class?
This is joking, by the way. I would never do that. I'm not that guy. I'm a nice country boy, I swear.
No, like I said earlier, he's one of the sweetest guys I've known. Like, I don't think you can even hurt a fly.
I love shock humor.
But yeah, you think because women are such a protected class, like we're always like, oh, it's okay, because we're kind of like being easy on them almost in a way. Do you think they're like almost forgetting that they're taking that for almost like granted, almost in a way. Like,
Yeah.
they're thinking like, oh, I have all these rights, I can do all this, but because they're a particular class, no one's really like, hey, you should like kind of get off your high stool a little bit, like
I
chill
don't even
out.
think it's conscious.
Yeah.
I think it's just like we've been conditioned to believe certain things and act certain ways socially our whole lives. I think you take women and how often have they been able to just get away with explosive anger and have no retaliation? Majority of the time, the dude's going to go and take off. He's not going to stay. He's going to be like, oh, you're going to start hitting me?
Yeah.
Really? You want to play that game? I'm leaving. You're going to have a handful of dudes that are going to swing back. We hear about them on the news.
Yeah.
You know, and we hear about the girl in the newspaper, which it's not funny. Don't get me wrong. I don't think any of that stuff is funny. I've seen a lot of abusive stuff firsthand. And it's one thing that really gets my blood to boil is abuse like that. I don't think it's so much abuse though. If she hits me or starts beating me up or hitting me with something, if I, you know, defend myself, but defend myself doesn't mean I got a closed fist, throw a closed fist at her. But, I don't know. It's unfortunate every way around. I mean, I know so many relationships have actually both people were pretty good.
Yeah.
And it ended up in some kind of, it went physical, and you got two good people and it goes physical, and there's really you can't go back from that. I'm sorry. If you have a partner, whether it's a girl or a guy, and they hit the other person, I feel that is a level of damage that you can't recover that relationship from. It sets a precedent. And now the other person knows that you will do something to hurt them if they push you far enough out of your comfort zone, or that you make them upset enough, which means you're always going to have a guard with that person now.
Yeah.
And I mean, think about, if you imagine being a woman, if you're 5'1", 5'2", 5'5", 6 feet tall, whatever. Let's say you get in a fight with your boyfriend or a guy, and he just demolishes you.
Yeah.
You gonna ever trust guys again? Because it's one thing to, like we said, have that fear, that respect of, wow, this guy could hurt me or do something.
Well, I think all women know that naturally.
Yeah, but it's something else when you actually go through that.
Yeah.
I mean, when you
Go through a traumatic experience.
Yeah, I mean, it's dude, I know several girls who have been through several girls I'm very close to.
Yeah.
That have been through some very significant abuse, and it breaks my fucking heart, man, because I see how these girls how they struggle, you know, and how they don't feel safe, and they can't connect to people, and they can't trust, they can't open back up.
Yeah.
And it's incredibly heartbreaking.
Yeah.
That's a big difference, I would say, between men and women, because we can get our asses kicked and eat a burger at the end of the day.
Yeah. No, that's true. I actually, I've been doing real estate for almost 10 years now.
Okay.
I've helped out a few women get out of that situation where they were in abusive relationships by basically finding and relocating their house, where we had to take steps with the local officials on like hiding all of their information from public records and everything like that. So I've been there, and I've seen the trauma. And usually the women are usually very, very sweet. They're just and they're afraid. That's the worst part, is they're afraid to reach out.
Could you imagine that fear too?
Yeah.
Like I know a couple of girls that have exes that were abusive that stalk them to this day. And like some of these girls are like afraid to walk out of their house to their cars.
Man, those guys are fucking losers.
I know.
Man.
I know a girl here locally that I've known for over a decade that had her ex-boyfriend stalks her and damages her stuff and hurts her stuff, and she bought herself a new car. It was like a big goal for her to get a car, right? And she goes out one day, and I think he'd stolen it, and then they found it, and he'd like slashed the tires, and he lit the inside of the car on fire.
Jesus.
What a fucking,
They stole everything she had out of the back, tools and stuff like that.
You know what kind of men you're talking about? You're talking about the men who live in a mindset of scarcity. Because
lack of abundance mindset.
Yeah, because the men who live with abundance in their minds, they will never get stuck on one person like that.
No, it's a lack of abundance mindset. And there's obviously other issues with this dude, but it's a story I've seen so many times.
Yeah.
You know, my own wife went through it with an ex-boyfriend years ago. And I had my own run-ins with that guy. God, I wish I could have another one with him. I wish I could have one in person with him.
Yeah.
All 5'6" of him.
Nice.
But all of it. Give me two.
Yeah.
But that's another thing. When we could talk about all this, and we can joke about women being, with unfair society, but how do you feel when you find out that a dude hit a chick? How do you feel about it?
I think it's wrong.
No, but I mean, do you
want to beat the dude's ass?
Thank you.
That's what I
get straight up fucking hostile.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck? What kind of man hits a woman?
What I've talked.
Especially if it's not her fault.
I want to pull this back. I want to pull this back just a little bit. Here's the other outs that women have. When a woman hits a man, they always ask, "Oh, what did he do?" But when it's the other way around,
oh, fuck him.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's kind of unspoken. Women shouldn't be hitting guys because that's a fight they can't win.
Right.
So if a woman hits a dude, I'm sorry, you're a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
You're poking a line. Don't do it.
Right.
Because all he has to do is decide if he's going to end you or not.
Right.
That doesn't make it okay, but he's got the power.
Right.
2, So when we know that a guy took that power, to us, that's kind of the ultimate show of weakness. You know what I mean?
In the context of men hitting a woman, right? It's always like, why are we the ones that are put on blast for it?
Right.
But when a woman hits a man, it's still the man being put on blast for it. Like, what did he do? Why is it never what did she do? What did she say to him? Why did, like, what did it take to instigate it?
Right.
So I just think it's a little bit of a cop out too.
In general, usually given victim status default.
Yeah.
Victim status default usually sits with, no offense to anybody, but the weaker person, the underdog, which in a physical conflict, that's going to be the woman every time. Almost every time.
Right.
I feel like when we hear about, like you had said, like, why the hell would you hit a woman? I mean, that takes us back to the same thing of, that does immediately give victim status to the woman. But let's get real. By the time when he hits her back, even if she hit him, when he hits her back, she's the victim now. Because she's not going to do the damage that he's going to do.
Yeah. Because as a man, I feel like you should have control. You should have control for the most part,
like
over yourself at least. I'm not saying about the situation, because you can't control another person sometimes. But like in the situation as a man, you should have control over your actions and your responsibilities. Like we've all been put in situations where, like, I know I could lay you out right now.
Yeah.
But my best option is just to fucking walk away.
Yeah.
You know,
I could send that weave across the street.
Yeah, exactly. Like there's this one incident actually happened in downtown. We were hanging out, and there's a group of guys, and they had their girlfriends with them, and they stole one of our friends' vapes, and we saw it in their hand. And so we confronted them, like, hey man, that's one of ours. Like, we saw you take it. It's the exact same thing. We described it to the T. And they're like, what are you talking about? Like, dude, it's right there, man. Like, let's stop playing around. Just give me that thing. And they're like, all right, cool. Here's your vape. All right, cool, man. Well, hope you have a good rest of your day. And we're walking away, and his girl goes, that's it? You're not gonna fuck him up? And I'm like,
instigating shit.
Yeah, she just starts like yelling at me, fuck you, you're a piece of shit, blah, blah, blah. And I turn around and I'm like,
wait, she's like, you're not like her boyfriend? Like, she's asking you if you're not.
No, she was yelling at me, and then her boyfriend too, like, well, that's it, you're gonna let him, like, she's like, that's it, you're just gonna let him walk away like that? And then she goes, yeah, fuck you, blah, 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 to me. So I'm just like, so I turn back and I'm like, yo, you should check your woman. And I just start laughing, because I'm like, if she's trying to fight, this is a whole different, like, bro, we ended the situation already.
Put that bitch on a leash before she gets bit.
Yeah. And then because of that whole situation, he felt like he had to like man up almost. And he's like, oh man, I can't be a bitch now.
I've seen
so he starts standing up, and all his friends start standing up, and we're just like, oh great. And for me, it was the most dumbest thing, because she's the one that we pretty much ended it. Like, we're like, cool, man. All right.
Just start getting naked.
Yeah.
No one wants to fight a crazy dude. Just start getting naked. Never mind. We're out.
But it was just one of those situations. I just remind, but like I'm saying, like, as a man, you should know, like, just turn around, you know, or even like at that type of situation, like, girl, like,
honestly, I would have just, like you did, I just look at the dude and I'd be like, bro, I'm sorry you're dealing with that.
Yeah.
Thank you for giving me my vape back. Best of luck.
Yeah. So touching on that, that's women, modern women being masculine nowadays. They're starting to act like fucking dudes with these eyelashes and long ass nails. You know what I mean? And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
How do you feel about that? Do you feel like women are becoming...
I've picked up on a lot of that. I feel like it's different in different social settings. Like, so when I was living, like, let's see if I'm back east North Carolina or in the South or even up in Utah, it's very different. I see a lot more of that in cities like this.
Agreed.
Where, for example, you look at the predominant income, or the majority income in Las Vegas. I mean, for example, OnlyFans makes up like 17.3% of the Las Vegas economy.
Crazy.
Damn.
And then you see the push for female empowerment. And it pushes women to kind of move away from embracing their feminine side and embrace their masculine side, almost as a way to force obsolescence on men. You now have women that they're the breadwinners, so they don't need the men anymore.
True.
You have women that are becoming more dominant, so they don't feel like they need men. So men are basically seen to a degree as not a necessity unless you want kids.
But even then, men aren't really required for that.
Not even required for that.
Because they can have the kid with the man, and then if they have any issues, they have a cop out, because they don't have to take accountability. They can go to the government and say, hey, I need food for me and my children.
He's got to pay for it.
Yeah, he's got to pay for it, and then the government's going to give him something called EBT or SNAP or whatever the fuck it is, right?
Or
insurance, whatever.
Child support.
Yep.
From him.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, with men, if you have a kid, there's really no escape from responsibility. Women, there is an escape from responsibility.
Right.
Whether they want to abort the child, or push off financial obligation onto the dad. And they always the kid always becomes a control item.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
And very rare, you don't really see anything happen socially to the women because of it. Could you imagine what happened if the tables were turned, though? The dad wouldn't let his child see the mom. Like how society would handle that. I feel like there's a lot of changes that need to happen there in that. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I know deadbeat dads, but I know just as many deadbeat moms.
Yeah.
You know, and I know just as many iPads that should be celebrated on Father's Day. So
they should be thanking the government for being their baby daddy, to be honest. Did you see a reel today? I don't know if you saw a reel today, but it's me talking about how The women are relying on the government being baby daddy. Check it out later, dude. It's
Okay.
fucking it's and we have like this video at the end of
Yeah, she basically is a lady saying, she's like, I don't need no baby daddy. I got the government to take care of me.
Yeah, with government-
I got daycare. I got eat food stamps. I got this.
Yeah, she's like,
yeah,
government-
fuck the baby dad. I don't need him in my life.
She's like, yeah, the baby daddy's the government's my real baby daddy. You know what I mean? And she's like thanking the government. It's so crazy. Cringe.
You bring that up, and it just kind of reinforces more what I was thinking about how there's this big push to make men obsolete.
Yeah.
To a degree. I mean,
but it's okay. So you're saying that men are going to be obsolete, but at the same time, the only thing that women really need is the resources, because
I think that's a huge primary driver.
right, because women, like with OnlyFans, that shit doesn't last long. All the female dancers and all that stuff, that doesn't last long because beauty is a factor in those cases, right? And women only have a very short time period to
Some do, yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, you're right. Exercise and diet is a huge factor into that. But let's be honest. A lot of this comes out to be drugs and alcohol and partying, and women aren't very smart with their financial.
When women do, they got their shit together.
No, I do too. But I'm talking about the majority, right? The statistics. So the
These are
majority.
the majority of people in general.
Right.
I don't know that I'd categorize that to one sex or the other.
So the majority would be the fact there is statistics that says that women.
are there?
Yeah, women are they owe 2/3 of the world's debt.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So women are the majority in spending money in the economy. If women were to stop spending money, the economy would fucking fail. Seriously, that's how big of a debt that they owe. So, in that case, statistically, women spend fucking crazy amount of money. I know girls that make 6-figure incomes dancing or work a corporate job, whatever it is, but they spend money on everything. Women are so materialistic. New car, nice house, new purse, makeup. Like even my girl personally, like she's starting to become more financially savvy because of me, but I get it. They need services. They need their hair done. They need their nails done. So there's constantly
Once again,
spending
the
money.
social expectations that they've got to keep up.
Right. But it also makes them feel good. So they have to do these things. If women can wear bombshell bras to make their titties appear bigger and more attractive, is it fair for guys to stuff their pants with a sock and make their package seem bigger?
Absolutely. They should sell cod pieces.
Yeah.
I don't see a problem.
They're starting to sell height little heel things for the shoes
for guys.
You put in there and it raises like an inch
I've
or
seen
two.
those.
You've seen those?
You know what, though? Honestly, like
It's such a smart tactic.
until she invites you in and says, leave your shoes by the door.
Yeah, but at the end, it doesn't matter because women's initial attraction is right off the rip.
It's true.
So many guys are like right on that 5'10", 5'11" mark. If they just had that.
All they know is they're looking up.
Yeah, that's it. The women's perception of length is not realistic.
You mean height or length?
Of like measurement. I'm sorry. Of everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought we were going to dick size.
Oh no, that's exactly what I was gonna bring it into.
okay.
Measurement, exactly. Because I've heard women say, "Oh yeah, I've been with a guy with like a 12-inch dick." Statistically, that's
bullshit.
Really, yeah, that's a lot of bullshit. So measurement in a woman on women is very different from men because we use rulers and shit growing up a lot.
You guys jam that shit back in there as far as they can.
Bone
Like, I know I got 3 inches back in there. Do you know you actually have like 3 to 4 inches of
Yeah.
dick inside you?
Yeah.
So if you just pull hard enough,
So you're gonna rip that ligament.
Yeah.
You're fucking.
you want a dick pic, you need an X-ray.
I mean, there's people out there that fucking tie like weights to their dicks and fucking try to.
I've heard of that.
Yeah,
I've
try
heard
to
of
make that shit longer. or
No, I'm
whatever.
good. I'm good.
Be carrying weights and shit
Yeah.
like that.
It already presents enough of a challenge. I don't need more of that.
So, we're relating back to the topic about females acting more masculine. Why do you think there's a reason why they're acting more masculine?
Do you think it's like? Do you think?
Is it? You think it's like just the media, social media, and stuff like that, or is it like?
Sorry, I don't want to cut you off, but I really want to get this out there. Do you think it also contributes into the low testosterone factor of men?
Becoming like more submissive. And,
Yes.
Yeah, big time, huge. Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, I want to say now, this is what I've read. That's been years ago when I went over this stuff, but I want to say it was around 1985 is when we started seeing a major decline in testosterone at a rate of about 1% per year.
Yeah, I think it's at 60 percentile now.
Bro, do you remember? Take a look back at what like high school football players looked like in the 80s.
Oh, I know.
Yeah, the guys are getting smaller.
They look like full-grown men.
Yeah. No, I mean right now currently the guys are looking smaller and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like I've noticed because I drive by, where we used to go to high school, going to like Durango.
And the girls are massive.
Yeah, the girls are like, getting more fully developed. I'm like, this bitch looks like she belongs in college or something.
Yeah.
And then these kids, they look like in middle school. Like the guys, they look like they're in middle school. And I'm like, yo, this guy like is he getting picked up by his mom or something? Or something?
No,
But it's like,
dude.
Now here's a theory, because I know meats now are being injected with all types of hormones. Do you think it's maybe because women don't have the testosterone in their bodies, so they're able to process that more, so they're getting bigger and maturing faster than guys are? And then, because naturally men or boys have a, their testosterone is pretty high because they're in the development phase, right? But because now they're eating all this meat that has testosterone and all these other hormones, do you think it's starting to slow it down where women don't have it naturally, so it's starting to progress them further? That's just a theory in my head.
I'm not totally certain. There's all kinds of this is all speculating.
Right, it's speculating.
When I lived in South America, one thing that you would see is you'd see 12-year-old girls walking around with like full breasts. I mean, just racked. Right. And you're like, I remember asked a couple times, be like, how old is that chick? And my companion would be like, oh, dude, she's like 13. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Mind you, I was like 18 at the
Right. That's genetics, though.
Yeah. Well, no. So down there, a lot of and I never actually saw any research about this or anything, but down there they were saying it started with when they started putting tons of hormones in the chicken, because they were putting hormones in it to create larger breasts in the chicken for harvest.
Makes sense. Okay.
And chicken was like, that was like the main food, the main meat source down there. Now I'm not totally certain, and everybody's gonna be like, how do you not know? As I've seen a lot of speculation on how hormones in food can or can't affect you, and I honestly didn't spend too much time on that part of it. Like, I guess when I was in school, I wasn't really very privy to the idea of like organic foods, things like that. I was pretty. Wow. And when you take those courses, they didn't really talk about the benefit of food quality or food, the importance of food quality or food sourcing, and so I really didn't get too lost into researching those effects. But I do know there was a massive correlation down in South America with the breast size of the chickens and the breast size of the young girls.
So, I mean, they always say you are what you eat, right? And that everything really, like all sicknesses and all issues with the body start from the stomach.
Yeah, generally.
Yeah.
I mean, most everything comes from what you put in yourself.
Yeah.
Whether it causes inflammation that can cause an acute problem or anything like that.
I would say that's a huge factor.
Well, what you were saying about women getting masculine, I actually had something popped into my head. You see the major push in the last 10 years for women to get involved in the fitness scene, the bodybuilding scene, the weightlifting scene, to build muscle, not just be toned and lean, but just to build muscle and get jacked, which is that the mentality it takes to do well in that is a little bit more of a masculine mentality.
Right.
Which then you have women that look up to these women based on what they've been able to accomplish physically. So really they're looking up to them and they're motivated by them primarily due to masculine effects or masculine aspects of them.
Do you think it's a heroism thing? Because like if you think about it,
I don't know. If you thought about that,
if you think about it, women have, like we've talked about this in previous podcasts, where women have thousands and thousands of cues of why they would find a man attractive, right? And most of that goes back to excuse me, stories of like celebrities, for example, right? Celebrities are fantasized and loved by women because they play so many different roles in movies.
Right.
And a lot of the times, like it's always a story about heroism, or like, the underdog and then becomes a hero or whatever it is. So growing up, a lot of women start idolizing other women because there's no idols in that sphere. So now, like you've said, in the last 10 years, when they find a woman who is putting herself in that position to become, this top dog masculine woman who's now got muscles and she's dominating that male industry, I think it could play into the fact that it's probably a heroism type of effect. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because women will cheer on other women hardcore if they're dominating a male industry.
It's like, well, how many women truly would like to be stronger?
Yeah.
And want to be fit and want to be, it's like and for so many years you had girls, if they could put on muscle, they were kind of looked at as, it's manly. And now it's like, honestly, it looks hot. Like you take a girl that has enough muscle. I mean, my wife's got a lot of muscle on her. She's got a great form, great figure, looks great.
Right. But in a sense, that generalizing, right, it would then shrink. It would shrink their mating capabilities in a way, because not all men would find them attractive, right? Because a lot of men naturally gravitate towards more feminine.
Yeah.
So it would then just make her circle smaller.
I think to a degree. I think you're still gonna have a lot of guys that are intrigued.
If you're in that same circle, which a lot of men are into being very muscular. So naturally, that's gonna.
Yeah, and of course there's limits of what's attractive and what's not for everybody. But I feel like that when women get into that, they are to a degree embracing much more masculine side of themselves instead of developing or the feminine side.
The feminine side. Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like as far as dating and stuff, like for me personally, I liked dating girls that were more like tomboys. You know, it's like you can get out and go do something. Like my wife and I, when we first started dating, we were taking guns out and going squirrel hunting and rabbit hunting and stuff like that in the mountains.
Right.
But at the same time, we're attracted to the femininity. I'm not attracted to a girl because she's a dude.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that just makes it fun. That's just like, hey, we can go do fun, cool stuff that I like too. I don't want to spend my day in Bed Bath & Beyond.
Right. Like, you want to go shoot guns with me? Fuck yeah, let's go.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, oh, my wife, she was like, oh, her favorite thing to eat was steak.
Yeah.
And she liked it rare. Yeah, you're a winner.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I told her, she's like, when did you decide you loved me? When I saw you soaking up blood with a biscuit.
Yeah.
Nice.
I was sold.
That would be a winner right there.
You're a winner. Yeah. I was like, all right.
That's funny. That's when I started dating my girl too.
Yeah.
I took her out to go eat some burgers and ribs, and I thought she was just gonna get a salad.
It's because you can be yourself. You feel like you can be the man you are around her. You don't have to be careful with your masculinity.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit, I really want to get the ribs, but I think I'll just stick with the burger. And then she went with the ribs. I was like, fuck, that's it. She's
We're
the
getting
right
ribs.
one. She's the right one.
Now we're gonna find out if she throws a fit if I order the same thing.
No, fuck no. Yeah.
But
Yeah, that'd be one thing with my ex that I would we'd go out to eat. Like I'll order something really good. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to eat this. And she'll order like a salad or something.
Yeah.
And I'll be eating. She's like, can I have some of yours? I'm like,
hell no.
Hell no. Bitch, order your own.
Hell no. You chose. You made your choice. You made your bed. You sleep in it. Next time, choose better.
it eventually got to that point, but in the beginning parts, it was like, oh my God.
I'll buy you a burger as long as you get rid of say you admit that you were wrong.
It's like, okay.
I was wrong. Salad's not as good.
Yeah, rabbit food. That's what I call salads, rabbit food.
Right. That's what my food eats. That's what I say to the vegan diet.
It's true.
You should try plant-based, bro. No, I shouldn't.
No, yeah. No, but I wanted to touch on that a while back, but we didn't get to it. The whole plant-based and meat proteins. So they said that based off of evolution, they said that we wouldn't be where we are today if it wasn't because they started eating meat.
Right.
If they stuck to just plants, we wouldn't be here at all.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
So
that makes
why,
sense to me.
Yeah, so that's why I eat meat.
Well, look at like brain function.
Yeah.
If you're eating meat versus brain function when you don't eat meat.
Yeah,
you will see a level of decline when you go to all plant-based.
Yeah.
What I've seen with a lot of people that get into the plant-based diets is if they were unhealthy, they get into it, and for the first few months, they have a ton of benefits. You know, inflammation goes down, they feel better, their digestion is better, their blood pressure goes down, maybe they lose some weight. But then a few months into it, they start dealing with the deficiencies. Something I've noticed about a lot of people that are vegan, bless their hearts, is that when they get hurt, they don't seem to recover very well.
They bruise easy.
They bruise easy. Yeah, it's gonna be iron because you're not, you're not getting, what is it? Heme iron, I think is what it is available in beef in huge amounts.
Right.
A lot of the things you get out of vegetables, your body, they're not available for you. That's why you need to eat the animal that ate them and was able to use them and convert them into meat that then you can absorb them from.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I actually came across an article about that. I was talking about like, eating salads and stuff is actually not really beneficial for you because our body can't really digest it properly. And like cows, for example, they have multiple stomachs, so it goes through a process to be able to digest and all that stuff, correct?
Right.
And for vegetables, the only way the human stomach can naturally actually digest it if it's been fermented, correct? So that's,
I believe so. I've heard that. I'm sure that's going to be different. That's going to be different from vegetables across different ranges of vegetables.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But,
Well, I can say that I'm a vegan too because my food eats vegan food.
yeah, I eat 100% vegan beef.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, I want to kind of get into
Grass-fed.
something. Maybe. So there's this whole thing, where like vegans are like saying, I don't want to kill animals because they're living creatures and stuff like that. But now there's science starting to come out that plants are also actually living creatures too, and they can actually change.
They have fear responses.
Yeah, exactly. They actually have responses, and they actually can communicate with other plants and stuff like that. So in a way, they're still killing. They're actually killing more.
They express distress, chemical distress through like pheromones when they're being damaged. And,
yeah. And they actually can also change their taste, the way they would taste, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I forgot what the word they were using. Yeah.
Fruits taste a certain
Yeah, so like
way,
for
depending
example, if like a certain animal's eating a plant down the wind, they can take that up and it'll change their complex of how they would taste, so that they won't get eaten or something like that. Yeah, I might be ascribing it really wrong because I was listening to a Joe Rogan's podcast when he was talking about that, but I was like, damn, that's just crazy. Like that, these plants are actually like living creatures in a way. Like they're able to communicate and have a whole society and like stuff like that.
Yeah, that's why I have a lot of
almost plants. like almost some kind of level of consciousness.
last things you want to say.
Hit me up on Instagram at the Reed Wyatt. That's TheReedWyatt.
Cool.
Any questions, anything like that?
You want to play?
All right, guys, thanks for watching the episode. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button.
Yeah. So follow us on Spotify, TikTok, Twitter.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Fucking everything. Because we need to get up. We're almost at we need 1,000 on TikTok so we can go live on there.